This is day 44 of this bitch. Really? Oh, for sure. Alright, let's just get down to brass tacks, Rabbi. Give me that Yiddish. Really? What are we reviewing today? I don't know if we'll do it, but we'll see. Alright, Amachai. That's something so pleasurable it can revivicate the dead. Halavai means I wish. That's what the Rebbe wants. That's all. That's what the Rebbe know at once. Amachai. That's what we do. That's what she said after we stood. Yiddish cop. Yeah, that's kind of a fetish of mine. It's a talkative bitch. Tackless brass tacks. Nosh. That means snacking on pussy. Basher. That's a soulmate. Basherta is soul. Female soulmate. Basherta is a male soulmate. Mishmash. I was taking a bath. That's mixed. Bubkiss means beans, nothing, good nothing, good holiday. L'chaim, to life. Parv, neutral, flat, kosher, smooth. Mensch, it's a man. He's a good guy. And then you could have Zedekias, Roy, and Eshat Chayil. You could also Gidel, Oive. Um, what does that mean? It means like Stettel. It's a little village of Stettel, Streimel, and Shettel, Scheidel. Milkig, Fleischig, Parv. Milkig's meat, Fleischig's. No, Milkig's milk. Fleischig is meat, Parv is neutral. What does Heimish mean? Heimish, Hamish, dog. Hamish, or Heimish, based on Yiddish word Heim, means home. It describes things that are homey or familiar. Make yourself at home. Going back to Abraham, the first Jew, the very first Jew. Our people have always valued inviting others into our homes. The mitzvah is known as Knesset, or him bringing in guests. When inviting in guests, the host may say, Machzek Haimish, make yourself at home. Nice and informal. If the guest finds that the home is the informal type where everyone is welcome or to just be themselves and no one stands on ceremony, he may say that it's a Haimishi type of place. What is this Oh fuck! What is this bullshit? Stupid asshole. Is that fucking paper reject on Saturday? Nice and informal guest finds a home is an informal type where everyone is welcome to just be themselves and no one stands on ceremony. Here may see he or he may say it's a Hamish type of place. Home cooking, since Heim means home, home cooked food or baked goods can be referred to as Hamish. One of us, speaking broadly, Yiddish speaking Jews can be divided into two groups, Litvaks on the one end and Polish Jews on the other end, each group having many subcategories and branches. Those of the Litvak camp use the first pronunciation of Hamish, while the Polish Jews and their Hungarian cousins will say Heimish. In fact, Hungarians will refer to their fellow Hungarian Hasidic Jews as Heimish because they can trace their roots back to Der Heim or Der Hem, as the country is known to first generation immigrants. What do we call it? The old country. Thus, a retail establishment belonging to Heimische fellow, in which only kosher items are sold, of course, will be referred to as a Heimische store. Note that in this context, only the Polish pronunciation of Heimish is used. Challah in a pan. Challah is Hebrew for loaf, however, in Yiddish it refers specifically to the braided loaves that grace festive Shabbat and holiday tables. These two loaves remind us of the double portion of manna that God would provide for our ancestors in the desert every Friday. For reasons that are not clear to the author of this article, challah that has been baked in an oval pan with walls is sometimes called Heimish challah. Also, limited to Polish pronunciation. Heimish, yeah. Heimish challah. Do you have something to add? Yeah, let's find out why the fuck that is. You're gonna find this out? Dog, we're gonna fucking find this out. And I might even send it into Chabad.org. Be like, hey peeps, get your shit together. That aren't cleared. Nobody was like, oh yeah, it's good. Or they were just like, yeah, it's good. Throw it up on the fucking site. Nobody was like, well, why don't we answer this fucking question? Please tell me why it would be called this. Short answer, because Heimish challah isn't really about the shape as it is much the vibe, and the oval pan became the visual shorthand for a very specific Eastern European Jewish home culture. Longer unpacked answer. What Heimish actually means. Heimish, Yiddish, home-like, warm, familiar, old school, doesn't mean traditional in the abstract. It means not fancy, not showy, not bakery perfect, something your bubby grandmother would make at home, not something bought. So when something gets labeled Heimish, it's being contrasted with modern decorative braided French influenced challah. The oval pan with walls equals Eastern Europe home baking. In Poland, Galicia, and nearby regions, home ovens were inconsistent, shallow, and not great for freeform baking. As a result, challah was often baked in oval or round pans with walls. The walls helped the dough rise upward instead of spreading. You got a soft, tall, pull apart interior, less crusty, more bread like. This wasn't about aesthetics, it was about practicality. Why the specific pan became the marker. Once the braided challah became popular in bakeries, especially in Germany and later in America, especially in Germany and later in America, in contrast emerged. Freeform bread baked in a pan, glossy photo, freeform bread was glossy photogenic company challah. Freeform braid was glossy photogenic company challah. That's baker challah, and then Hamish challah, baked in a pan, plain, thick, soft, family table challah. So the oval pan with walls became the symbol of this wasn't made to impress guests. This was made to feed a family. That's Heimish. Why Polish pronunciation matters. Polish rooted Yiddish tends to pronounce Heimish closer to Hamish or Heimish. And culturally, Polish Jews Polish Jewish cooking is associated with heavier breads, enclosed baking, less ornamentation. Think pan challah, pull apart rye, thick kugels. So the terms stuck specifically in Polish descended communities, even though other Jews baked similar breads. It's retrospective label. Here's the key thing the article probably missed. No one in 1880 said, I am now breaking Hamish challah. The term comes later, once braided challah became dominant and people needed a word for the old way, the home way, the before bakeries took over way. So the shape didn't cause the name, the shape became the evidence of Heimishness. TLDR, it's called Heimish challah because the oval walled pan reflects Eastern European home baking. It signals non-fancy, family style, pre-bakery Judaism. Polish Jewish culture preserved the style that Polish Jewish culture preserved that style longest. The name describes a feeling, not a halakhic Jewish legal category. All right, that's cool. We forgot to say all our shit. So it's 44 days. Today is 21st of Shvat, 5786, Sunday, February 8th. It's Super Bowl Sunday. That's a big fucking deal. Why? Oh, it's Super Bowl. Super Bowl is giant in Judaism and everything. All right. Well, it's Super Bowl 60. That's big time. All right. Here we go. Gay kakin afan yam. That's Yiddish. Go piss in the ocean. Black tis dayan. Go. It's Hebrew. Go piss in the ocean. And then I got the long fucking thing. Juris means problems in Yiddish. That one fucking snail or whatever is Calazon murex trunculus. Golis refers to the Jewish diaspora or exile. Alright, so that's cool. What about that one thing? I'm never gonna fucking get this. Akin ani medaber ivrit, bekar ivrit great af she befoal anaknu amurim ledaber Yiddish o lulai aramit shigam otan ani yakol ledaber bemida mesuyemet aval ani ma'adif anglit lakin ba'u Nidaber Anglit Ze Nishma Tolecha. Indeed, I speak Hebrew, mainly biblical Hebrew. Although in practice we are supposed to speak Yiddish or perhaps Aramaic. Well, I can also speak to some which I can also speak to some extent. But I prefer English, therefore let's speak English. Does that sound good to you? Okay. Alright, are you done? Hey Kay, are you done? This is Kabbalah and coffee and Kabbalah. Coffee. We're gonna Do you think you could do a Brooklyn accent or a New Jersey accent or a Manhattan accent to talk about Nita? I think we could figure out a way. Alright. Shit sucks. Okay, hopefully this shit isn't that long today. Not gonna Breslov. He's got some great fucking motivational speeches or whatever. Quotes. So the Gemara says, so apparently that called him the jumper because interestingly enough, Zaron was part of Sanchiriv's campaign as well. And interestingly enough, because remember again, what was Sanchiriv's mistake? What was Sanchiriv's mistake? He missed the window. So apparently the Zaron was the one who was urging Sanchiriv, attack now, attack now, attack now. That's why it's called the jumper. That he was ready to leap into battle, to jump into battle. So other Hasidic commentaries on Kabbalah. Dude, there's shit love 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll do 4 of them today. Why? So we got other shit to cover, folks. This bitch is short. Zoo doesn't know we're busy.
Ehud ben Solomon Tyrer, Hebrew, was an important Hasidic rabbi and Kabbalist, and is today remembered for several well-known Hasidic works. He is also known as Hayayim of Cernowitz, after his time there. He was a pupil of Rabbi Yechiel Michael, the Maggid of Slochet, as well as of the Maggid of Mezrich, both in turn direct pupils at the Baal Shem Tov. After he had been rabbi at 5 different towns, among them Mogilef, Cernowitz and Badawani, he settled in Jerusalem. In 1812, he founded the great synagogue on Esai Street on the right bank of the River Big, no later than 1812. He also founded the first Jewish hospital in the city. He died in Jerusalem in 1813, and was buried in a cave in the Jewish cemetery of Save. He was the author of. He is mentioned by Rabbi Sender Mark Eliav in his response on Shulchan Eraj, even Gezer. Streets named after him are Bir Main Hayim, as the name of his better-known book, in Rehoboth and in Ramat Elchanan neighborhood in Bnei Brak, as well as Nail Bir Main Street in the Beit Dagan neighborhood in Jerusalem.
Okay, let's do this one again.
Hayim ben Solomon Tyrer, Hebrew, was an important Hasidic rabbi and Kabbalist, and is today remembered for several well-known Hasidic works. He is also known as Hayim of Cernowitz, after his time there. He was a pupil of Rabbi Yechiel Michael, the Maggid of Slochet, as well as of the Maggid of Mezrich, both in turn direct pupils at the Baal Shem Tov. After he had been rabbi at 5 different towns, among them Mogilef, Cernowitz and Badawani, he settled in Jerusalem. In 1812, he founded the great synagogue on Esai Street on the right bank of the River Big, no later than 1812. He also founded the first Jewish hospital in the city. He died in Jerusalem in 1813, and was buried in a cave in the Jewish cemetery of Save. He was the author of. He is mentioned by Rabbi Sender Mark Eliav in his response on Shulchan Eraj, even Gezer. Streets named after him are Bir Main Hayim, as the name of his better-known book, in Rehoboth and in Ramat Elchanan neighborhood in Bnei Brak, as well as Nail Bir Main Street in the Beit Dagan neighborhood in Jerusalem. He was the author of.
Shor Shel Shabbat, Kabbalistic homilies on Shabbat. Related subjects: Porkik, 1818, Be'er Mayim Hayim, Novelai on Pentateuch, and 2 parts, Zernowitz, Part 1, 1820, Part 2, 1849, Sha'ar HaTefillah, Kabbalistic Reflections on Prayer, Sudikov, 1837, Eretz Hayim in 2 parts, a homiletic commentary on the prophets, and Hagiographa, and two, that was one, and then two novella on the tractate Brachot. Okay, that's a cool story. Boring. Dude, this one's long as fuck.
Rabbi Yisrael Hofstein, Hebrew, 1737-1814, commonly known as the Maggid of Koznitz, or Koznitzer Maggid, was a towering figure in the third generation of the Hasidic movement, a noted Kabbalist, and the founder of the Koznitz Hasidic dynasty in Poland. His profound influence extended through the late 18th and early 19th centuries. He was a student of both the Maggid Dokber of Mezrich and Elimelech of Lishens, and wrote many books on Chassidus and Kabbalah. He is sometimes referred to as the Avedich Yisrael after the title of his most famous work, a commentary on the Torah. Biography. Early life and education. Hofstein was born in Opatowio, Abta, Poland, in either 1736 or 1737, to his parents, Shabbatay, Shabtay, and Pearl. His father was a poor bookbinder. According to tradition, his birth came after his parents, who were impoverished and advanced in age, received a blessing from the Baal Shem Tov. Other traditions relate that his father's neutrality during a major dispute in the synagogue earned heavenly merit, resulting in the birth of a holy son. The young Israel was recognized early on as an Ilu, prodigy, revealing prodigious ability in his studies despite a weak constitution and sickly nature. His initial rabbinic studies took place under Rabbi Dov Katz, chief rabbi of Abta, and he also studied with Rabbi Mordecai Tzvi Horowitz and Rabbi Menachem. Hasidic masters. Rabbi Israel's path to Hasidism began under the tutelage of Rabbi Shelkerowitz of Nikolsburg, who introduced him to the movement. He became a devoted student, Talmud, of Rabbi Dokber, the Maggid of Mezrich, who led the Hasidic movement after the passing of the Baal Shem Tov. During this time, the Maggid recognized the young man's genius, saintliness, and extensive knowledge. The Maggid requested that Rabbi Israel undertake the important scholarly task of creating an accurate edition of the liturgy, the Siddur Harzal, prayer book according to the teachings of Isaac Luria. The Maggid foretold that through Israel's influence, people in Warsaw would begin adopting the Lurianic liturgy, known as New Zori. After the passing of the Maggid of Mezrich in 1772, Rabbi Israel became a follower of Rabbi Elimelech of Lishens. At Lishens, Rabbi Israel was counted among the 4 greatest primary disciples, and upon the passing of Rabbi Elimelech, Rabbi Israel was said to have inherited his power of the heart. He maintained close ties with contemporaries such as Rabbi Levi Isaac of Berditchev. Leadership in Koznitz. Rabbi Israel served as a Melamed, teacher, for youths initially, eventually adopting the style of orator or Maggid. In approximately 1766, 5525, he was formally appointed as the Maggid of Koznitz, Kozinus, and its surrounding villages, including Magnishov and Gritza. He also established a yeshiva there. He became Rebbe in 1785, 5546, with the possible exception of the Chazeb, Seer of Lublin. The Koznitzer Maggid was regarded as the central authority of Hasidism in Poland in his generation. Teachings and mysticism. Scholarly depth. The Koznitzer Maggid was considered a Gaon, genius in both the revealed, Talmudic, and even Kabbalistic parts of the Torah. He was a great Talmudic scholar who wrote Novelli and Responsa. Even before he met the Maggid of Mezrich, he had studied over 800 works of Kabbalah. His knowledge of the revealed Torah, including the entire Talmud Yerushalmi, was attested to by Rabbi Hayim of Voloshin, a foremost disciple of the Vilna Gaon and opponent of Hasidism. Core Hasidic concepts. His foundational work, Avedich Yisrael, is considered one of the most complex and penetrating Hasidic classics, drawing heavily on his Kabbalistic knowledge. He provided profound, creative exegetical insights characterized by stylistic elegance and clarity.
Teshuvah, repentance. He taught that true repentance involves returning to God until the Creator becomes one's personal source of godliness, making the individual a vehicle for sanctity and holiness. This allows one to approach prayer without barriers, like speaking to a best friend. Prayer tefillah. He advocated for intense, rapturous prayer, characterized by loud shouting and physical gestures, sometimes leading to him collapsing from exhaustion. He taught that prayers recited with proper kavanah, devotion, awe, and fear are kosher prayers. He taught that prayers recited with proper kavanah, devotion, awe, and fear are kosher prayers. These proper prayers have the power to gather previously improper carcass prayers and uplift them to heaven, thereby crowning God. Kabbalah and Maharal. Rabbi Israel was pivotal in integrating the philosophy of Rabbi Judah Loew Maharal of Prague into Hasidic thought. He spiritually sponsored the reprinting of Maharal's works in the late 18th century and 19th centuries. His book, Geulat Yisrael, was the first Hasidic work to use Maharal as a primary source. He sought to find core principles in the Arizal's Lurianic Kabbalah within Maharal's writing, specifically imposing a pronounced Kabbalistic framework he sought to find core principles of the Arizal's Lurianic Kabbalah within Maharal's writings, specifically imposing a pronounced Kabbalistic framework on Maharal's ideas.
Rabbi Israel's fame as a thaumaturge, wonder worker, was extensive. Even Christians believed in his supernatural powers. His blessings and amulets were considered efficacious for healing, and he was renowned for having the power to bless barren couples with fertility. He was deeply committed to social justice and kindness, caring for orphans and widows. He raised many orphans in his own home. He lived austerely in poverty, distributing all monies received as charity. He was the foster father and mentor to Rabbi Isaac Meir Alter, the future founder of the Hasidic dynasty. Historical context and political activity. The Kozhnitzer Maggid actively used his influence to help the Jewish community. He received early intelligence about hostile government plans against Jews and, when necessary, used his connections to cancel harsh decrees. He was on friendly terms with several influential Polish nobles, including Prince Adam Czartoryski, who sought his blessing for a child. During the time of the Napoleonic Wars, Rabbi Israel was involved in a secret movement centered on the possibility of hastening the coming of the Messiah due to the world upheaval. A noted anecdote concerns his prophecy regarding Polish statehood. When a nobleman sought his intercession for Polish independence following the partitions of Poland, the Maggid foretold that Poland would regain sovereignty for a span of 3 Shemidim, 3 sabbatical cycles, or 21 years. This prediction was recalled in Warsaw when the Luftwaffe bombed the city in September 1939, exactly 21 years after Poland declared independence in 1918. Death and legacy. Rabbi Israel Habstein lived in Kozhnitz for many years. He passed away on the 14th of Tishri, September 28, 1814. His death occurred amidst mysterious spiritual efforts related to hastening the final redemption. He is remembered as one of the founders of Hasidism in central Poland and a major link in the chain of transmission of the Baal Shem Tov's teachings. The Kozhnitz Hasidic dynasty continued through his son and subsequent descendants, wielding influence in Poland and Galicia through the 19th and 20th centuries. Disciples. The Kozhnitzer Maggid attracted scores of students. Almost all the great tzaddikim from the courts of Mezrich and Lysensk in the next generation were counted among his disciples. Notable students included Rabbi Simcha Bunim of Krasisicha and Rabbi Shalom Roki of Belz. Family and dynasty. Rabbi Israel Habstein was married to Royce. They had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. Notable descendants include Rabbi Chaim Meir Yehiel Shapiro of Majolnitz, known as the Seraph of Majolnitz, Pearl's son, and Rabbi Kalonimus Kamish Shapiro of Piaseczna, a great-grandson, who became prominent for his teachings in the Warsaw Ghetto during the Holocaust. Literary works. Rabbi Israel Habstein was a prolific author of works spanning Kabbalah, Halakha, and Hasidic philosophy. His writings were often published posthumously. Key published works include
Avodat Yisrael, a classic Hasidic commentary on the Torah, and Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, first published posthumously in 1842. Ao. Geulat Yisrael, commentary on the works of Maharal of Prague, particularly Gevurot Hashem. Nezer Yisrael, commentary on the Zohar. Or Yisrael, commentary on the Tukunai HaZohar. Yakar Mepaz, commentary on the Torah. Tehilot Yisrael, commentary on the Book of Psalms. Gevurat Yisrael, a commentary on the Pesach Haggadah. Beit Yisrael, Talmudic novellae. Agunat Yisrael, responsa. Focused on cases regarding Agunat, women chained to inaccessible husbands, demonstrating his expertise in legal matters. Chirushai Maggid Mishnah, innovative interpretations of the Mishnayot. Sha'eri Yisrael, commentary on Midrash. Ner Yisrael, commentary on Luktai, Rav Hai Gaon, and Shar Hashemayim of Joseph Gattil. That's tight. That was a really great story, Rabbi. Thanks, friend. Dober Shnururi.
Dr. Snuri, November 13, 1773, November 16, 1827. OS was the second Rebbe, spiritual leader of the Chabad Lubavitch Hasidic movement. Rabbi Dopper was the first Chabad Rebbe to live in the town of Lyubavitch, in present-day Russia, the town for which this Hasidic dynasty is named. He is also known as the Middle Rebbe in Yiddish, being the second of the first 3 generations of Chabad leaders. Biography. Rabbi Snuri was born in Lyozna, modern-day Belarus, on 9 Kislev 5534. His father, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, was Rebbe of the community there, and of multiple Hasidim in White Russia and Lithuania, and other parts of Russia. His father named him after his own teacher, Rabbi Dopper of Mezrich, a disciple and successor of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement. The Yiddish first name Dopper literally means bear, traceable back to the Hebrew word Dopper and the German word bear. It is thus an example of a bilingual tautological name. In 1788 he married Rebbetzin Shina, the daughter of a local rabbi. In 1790 Rabbi Dopper was appointed the mashpia, spiritual guide, of the Hasidim who would come to visit his father. When Snuri was 39, while studying in the city of Kremenchuk, his father died. He then moved to the small border town of Lubavitch, from which the movement would take its name. His accession was disputed by one of his father's prime students, Rabbi Aharon HaLevi of Strashali. However, the majority of Rabbi Shneur Zalman's followers stayed with Snuri, and moved to Lubavitch. Thus Chabad had now split into 2 branches, each taking the name of their location to differentiate themselves from each other. He established a yeshiva in Lubavitch, which attracted gifted young scholars. His son-in-law, who later became his successor, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch, headed the yeshiva. Like his father, Snuri considered it a sacred task to help the Jews of Russia, whether they were Hasidim or not only spiritually but also economically. The position of the Jews under the Tsars was never easy, but it became much worse when Tsar Alexander I was succeeded by Tsar Nicholas I in 1825. The restrictions against the Jews increased in number and severity, and the Jews continued to be confined to the Pale of Settlement. They had no right to live, work or do business outside the Pale, where conditions had become difficult in the wake of the Franco-Russian War. Snuri thus launched a campaign, in 1822, or 1823, to urge Jews to learn trades and skilled factory work. He urged communities to organize trade schools. He also encouraged the study of agriculture, dairy farming, and the like, reminding them that once upon a time, when the Jewish people lived in their own land, they were a people of farmers, fruit growers, and herdsmen. He urged that boys who did not show promise of becoming Torah scholars should, after the age of 13, devote part of their time to the learning of a trade, or work in the fields, to help support the family. In 1815, with government permission and sponsorship, he set up Jewish agricultural colonies. He took to the road to raise funds for this purpose, and he visited the Jewish farmers and encouraged them in their pioneer work, also seeing that their spiritual needs and the education of the farmers' children should not be neglected. He was active in the collection and distribution of financial aid from Russia to the Jewish population in the Holy Land. He intended to settle in Hebron himself, believing that this was the gate of heaven, and prayers to be particularly effective there. He instructed Chabad followers living in the Holy Land to move to the city for this reason. Like his father, he was informed upon by his enemies, accused of being a danger to the Russian government. He was arrested on charges of having sent 200-300 rubles to the Sultan, and was ordered to appear for a trial in Vitebsk. However, due to the efforts of several non-Jewish friends, he was released before the trial. The day of his release, 10 Kislev 5587, is celebrated joyously to this day by Chabad Hasidim. Death. He died in Nisan on November 16, 1827, on his Hebrew birthday, 9 Kislev. Family. He had 2 sons, Menachem Daim and Baruch, and 7 daughters. The oldest of his daughters, Rebetza Chaya Mushka, was married to her cousin Menachem Mendel Snierson, another grandchild of Snir Solomon of Lighting. Menachem Mendel succeeded his father-in-law Uncle Izreda. Another of his daughters was manager Rachel Slonim. Works. Sneri wrote multiple works on Chabad philosophy and Kabbalah. His Hasidic works tend to be long and intricate. 19 of his works have been published so far, a number of them during his lifetime. He wrote a commentary on the Zohar, Biyuri HaZohar. Chassidic philosophy is based on Kabbalah, but interprets it in light of Chassidic thought. It seeks to uncover the inner soul of Kabbalah.
I think previously I just wasn't thinking and said the Lubavitcher, Rebbetzin, Chana, and I meant Chaya. Really, yeah.
He wrote a commentary on the Zohar, Biyuri HaZohar. Chassidic philosophy is based on Kabbalah, but interprets it in light of Chassidic thought. It seeks to uncover the inner soul of Kabbalah by relating it to the inner consciousness of man. This can then allow Jewish mysticism to be grasped inwardly. The mystical revival and popularization of Chassidism allowed the Jewish mystical tradition to be expressed outside of the language of Kabbalah by uniting and spiritualizing other dimensions of Judaism. Nonetheless, the more involved Chassidic texts interpret Kabbalistic ideas extensively and relate them to personal spirituality. The different schools in Chassidic thought gave alternative articulations of Chassidic mysticism. Snir Zalman of Lighting, the founder of Chabad, differed with general Chassidism by seeing the mind as the road to the heart. A number of the historic works of Chassidic thought across the movement comprise collected teachings and explanations of Torah, often delivered orally and compiled by the disciples. As Chabad sought to express Chassidus in systematic philosophy, its writings are usually more structured than other schools. Sneri expanded on the elucidation of Chabad philosophy, so that his followers could understand and internalize its spirituality. The path of Chabad demanded and valued inner depth and refinement over external emotional fervor. In the devotion of Chabad, the service of prayer became the central time for self-transformation. Through the unique Chabad approach of profound intellectual meditation, Isponinus, on Chassidic philosophy during prayer, while businessmen could fulfill their weekday prayer obligations in a regular way. In the early generations of Chabad, it was expected that the Sabbath could offer individuals time to extend their prayers in mystical rapture. In Chabad lore, stories are related of legendary Chassidim who would spend hours devoted to personal prayer, through meditation accompanied by Chassidic melody. Nigun, in his Contras Ha'Hispalis, Tract on Ecstasy, now translated into English Archive 2017-0731 at the Wayback Machine. Sneri writes a document in Jewish thought, while personal accounts of the mystical life are rare in Judaism. In this work, Rabbi Dogber guides the devotee through the intellectual and emotional levels of Chabad meditation. It differentiates between the external emotional fervor of general Chassidism, with the Chabad ideal of inner ecstasy and prayer. It is related that Rabbi Snir Zalman's prayers were so ecstatic that he could not contain their outer emotional expression, and without self-awareness, would roll on the floor or end up in a different location. His son Sneri, meanwhile, would pray for hours in static ecstasy, until all his clothes would be soaked in perspiration. One of his most famous works, entitled Shar HaYitcher, The Gate of Unity, now translated to English, describes the creation and entire makeup of the world according to Kabbalah. The work begins with the essence of GT, and traces the creation of the universe down to the physical world itself, using complicated parables to illustrate difficult points. The book also describes, in its first 10 chapters, the proper way to meditate on these Kabbalistic ideas. List of works. Citations. Books.
Cool. He wrote some books. Ma'armei Admir Hamaritzai, Hasidic Discourse on the Torah and the Festivals, 20 volumes. Berue HaZohar, Explanation of the Zohar. Perush HaMilos, Hasidic Explanation of the Liturgy. Kuntras HaHisbalus, on Meditation and Ecstasy in Prayer, also known as Kuntras HaHisboneus. HaHisbonenus, HaHisbonenus, Sha'ari Teshuvah on Teshuvah, repentance, Der Chaim, continuation of Sha'ari Teshuvah, Torah Chaim, Hasidic discourses on the books of Bereshit and Shmos, Teres Rosh, Hasidic discourses on the days of awe, Sha'ar HaEmunah, explanation of the mitzvah of faith and the festival of Pesach. Sha'ar HaYichud, explanation of Seder Shelus. Sha'ari HaOrah, on the festivals of Hanukkah and Purim. Imre Bina, explanation of the mitzvah of reading of the Shema and dining the Torah. Oh, and also, don't forget kids. We'll get this bitch memorized one of these days. No one really knows for sure. Elu ve Elu. Divrei Elohim Chayim, but this is a Missouri we live by. Do whatever the fuck you want, kids. Just don't fuck up. Alright, that's 4 of those bitches.
What a profound Gemara, and this is such the timing of this is incredible because it's almost Elul, and we really have to and how it is so important.
Rabbi Yaakov Yehuda Aryeh Frenkel, died June 12, 1940, also known as the Jevuos Aryeh after his major work, was Rabbi of Pirks and a renowned Kabbalist. He authored many scholarly works. Rabbi Frenkel's year of birth is variously cited as 1850 or 1855. His father was Rabbi Yitzchak Tzvi. Rabbi Yitzchak Tzvi was the son of Rabbi Yaakov from the town of Ashur. In his youth, Rabbi Frenkel was a disciple of Rabbi Yehuda Yehuda Teitelbaum, 1808-1883, who was known as the Yed of Lev. When Rabbi Frenkel matured and needed to earn a livelihood, he assumed a teaching position in Spinka, upon the recommendation of Rabbi Teitelbaum. In Spinka, Rabbi Frenkel became the study partner of Rabbi Yosef Meir Weiss. Subsequently, Rabbi Frenkel was appointed to serve as the town rabbi of Pirix, Hungary, a position that he held for over 50 years. When Rabbi Frenkel retired, he moved to Satmar, Satumir, in Romania, where he was regarded as a rabbinical authority. Works. Although Rabbi Frenkel authored numerous works due to financial difficulties, only 5 books were ever published. The rest of his manuscripts were destroyed in the Holocaust.
In 1909, Rabbi Frankel anonymously published the book entitled. In 1909, Rabbi Frankel anonymously published his book entitled Magid Sheni, a Kabbalistic work on the second volume of the Mishnah of Chassidim. The book was republished during the author's lifetime in 1930. Since then, the book has been republished numerous times. In 1915, Rabbi Frankel published the first volume of his work entitled Gevuras Aryeh, a Kabbalistic work on the Rambam's commentary on the Torah. The second volume was published in 1924. Both volumes were then reprinted as a single book in 1932. The book was reprinted again in 1990 by Machon Sharei Ziv of Yeshiva Shar Hashemayim, a Kabbalah yeshiva in Jerusalem, where the book is studied regularly. In 1927, Rabbi Frankel published his book dedicated to Chalchos Trefos entitled Migdinos Maharil. The book was printed in Simleu Sylvane. In the book, Rabbi Frankel writes that the large book is actually only the first part of his manuscripts on the subject. Rabbi Frankel explained that he could not publish the rest due to his manuscripts at the time. Explained that he could not publish the rest of his manuscripts at that time due to financial reasons. Furthermore, he expressed his desire to publish the rest of his work in the future, as he had done previously with the book entitled Gevuras Aryeh. Rabbi Frankel's dream never materialized, and the manuscripts were destroyed during the Holocaust. The exact date of publication of Rabbi Frankel's book entitled Shavach Lefi, Commentary on the Haggadah Shel Pesach, is undocumented. However, since the author, in his introduction to the book, refers to his 1927 book entitled Migdinos Maharil, and since the 1930 edition of Magid Sheni refers to Shavach Lefi, we can deduce that it must have been published between 1927 and 1930. The book was republished by Rabbi Dr. Ari Edelstein, a grandson of Rabbi Frankel, in 1994 in New York City. In 1937, only 3 years prior to his death, Rabbi Frankel published his final work entitled Likutei Maharil, a commentary on the Torah. All right, next up, we're just going to get into the nitty-gritty. Really? Yeah, nitty gritty for the itty bitty committee. Really? No, some of these bitches have massive tits. Really? Giant, massive, heavies. Okay, Chabad. Why? Just how Hashem made them. If they're made in the image of likeness of God, does that mean Hashem has? No, it doesn't work that way. It's just a saying, dog. It's like, God, according to Rambam, is incorporeal. All right.
So as Al-Khair was bringing back the lantern, the fire, his beard caught fire a little bit, and it turned out it ended up singeing his beard. So ultimately, again, the old man ends up cutting off his beard and his hair.
Oh, this is a Jewish woman. Tight. All right, we can read this. I'll just say this. At one time in my life, I would just read on Shabbat the Jewish woman. I downloaded it all so that I have like copies of it. And all Shabbat, I would just read these stories of these women who lost their children, and it was just heartbreaking. And I just felt for them. And If you know about the jewishwoman.org, it's like this website that this lady started that she like donated to Chabad or some shit like that. And it's just a really special website to me. It's one of my top 10 favorite websites in the world. The period of Niddah is a time usually lasting 12 days to 14 days when Jewish law forbids conjugal relations. Niddah begins with the onset of menstruation. That's a key word that a lot of people just roll over. There are a couple key words. Clitoris, not clitoris. It doesn't rhyme with thesaurus. It rhymes with almost like Icarus, clitoris, and
There's some people in life when life doesn't go their way
and menstruation. It's menstruation. It's four syllables, not menstruation. That's not right. Really? Yeah, and it's February, not February. All right, my rabbit's going to be very happy. There's a kernel of our color. Clarified all that shit. Niddah begins with the onset of menstruation and is completed with a woman's immersion in a mikveh, a ritual pool of water. The Niddah period and the mikveh immersion have recently seen a renaissance of observance in the Jewish community. Many couples have discovered that the cycle of closeness and distance built into this mitzvah keeps their relationship fresh and exciting. Others say it adds a spiritual divine dimension to the relationship. Like most good things, keeping the Niddah period is not always easy, but the payoff is well worth it. Here's a brief overview of the practices associated with Niddah and mikveh. Please note that this is very far from a comprehensive guide. Jewish brides and grooms traditionally study the laws that govern Jewish marriage with specifically trained teachers who guide them through this cornerstone of Jewish life. How does this work in your community? I mean, generally, it is a responsibility of the rabbi to ensure that the congregation knows these laws, but I know that rabbis, my rabbinical colleagues, have just basically said, it's your own business. We'll have the Rebbitzin talk to you about it, but handle it on your own. Really? How would you do it? Dog, I don't want to see your fucking jar of Smuckers and a fucking bounty paper towel. Calm down with that shit. Really? But it's just not a thing. I mean, it is a thing, which is like, really, you're your own person. It's like a part of Judaism that a lot of women hate. And I want to free you of that. So don't send me your fucking period pictures. Unless you want dick pics back. Really? Calm down. You're not getting them. Anyway, during Niddah, dipping in the mikveh. Together again, spiritual note about Niddah, some details. During Niddah, since conjugal relations are prohibited during Niddah, husband and wife sleep in different beds. We call these Lucy Desi beds, but you can call them what is that fucking show from the 1950s? Daddy? Father Knows Best. You can call them Father Knows Best beds. I call them Lucy Desi beds. Since conjugal relations are prohibited during Niddah, husband and wife sleep in different beds. Many other practices have been instituted to ease the temptation for a sexual relationship. What would you do? I mean, I don't really give a shit. Really? No. Allegedly, this is just an alleged story. Some bitches have still won it because they're super horny during those times, and they wanted to play in the back door, which we've gone through. Okay, fine, and then they've just made them so unbelievably horny that they're just like, you got a condom, potential, allegedly. Throw that bitch on and go to town. Really? I mean, I don't know. Allegedly, it's just fucking story. I'm telling stories here. All right? All this is just blah, 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 blah. Really? Yeah. Was it red? What did it look like? Like strawberry shortcake, kind of? Anyway, this is a time to strengthen deeper aspects of the relationship. A lull in physical closeness can be used to develop those aspects that lie beyond physical touch. That's all just a story, though. I'm just being Of course, I'm just joking. Why? Because when it happens, I fucking put up the Berlin Wall. I fucking put up uh mechitza if I need to. Really? If I have to. Anyway, after a minimum of 5 days have elapsed, if the flow is stopped, the woman begins to prepare for the couple's physical reunification. She begins by ensuring that there are 7 stain-free days. She does this by making an internal examination every day with a soft white cloth, Bedikin cloths, dipping in the mikveh. After 7 stainless days have passed, it's time to immerse in the mikveh. Constructed according to the exact specifications outlined in Jewish law, the mikveh is a ritual pool whose waters can either be connected to a spring or to rainwater. Today's mikvahs often look like fashionable spas. The aesthetic beauty of the facility, along with the rejuvenation and spiritual boost experience, can help explain why the mikvah is frequently can help explain why the mikvah is frequented by many who may not practice other formal Jewish observance. When arriving at the mikvah, she will be shown to her private preparation room, which is essentially a large, well-stocked bathroom with a luxurious bath, fresh towels, disposable slippers, a comfortable robe, and all the other essentials. After taking a relaxing bath, making sure to clean, making sure to thoroughly clean so that the mikveh waters touch every bit of her, she is ready to enter the pristine, warm mikveh waters. The attendant will accompany her to the actual mikveh pool, ensuring she is fully immersed with no hairs or hand or hands sticking out of the water, and declaring the immersion kosher. After immersing while still in the mikveh, this blessing, praising God for the special mitzvah, is recited. Blessed are you, Hashem our God, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us concerning immersion. Immersion in a mikveh has the power to create a sort of spiritual metamorphosis. Many use the holy moment for personal prayer and communication with God. Together again. When the wife returns from the mikveh, marital relations may resume. And it's like immediate. Really, yeah. That night is especially auspicious for the intimacy between the couple. Judaism views the physical union between a husband and wife as sacred. The couple can and should continue to be together as often as they wish for the duration of that time, especially on Shabbat, a day of delights. Spiritual note about Nida. Separating each month can be difficult, but the payoff is tremendous. To begin with, you are living in accordance with the will of God, the third partner in every marriage. As an added bonus, there is something magically rejuvenating about the mikveh night, as husband and wife come together as they did on their wedding night, experiencing a monthly honeymoon. Yeah, it's really sweet. If you can do it, that's tight. Some details. A woman first immerses in the mikveh before her wedding. For the postmenopausal woman, one final immersion usually offers purity for the rest of your life. Some mikvahs require you to pre-book an appointment in advance. Call to find out. The above is only a basic and very incomprehensive treatment of this complex and detailed subject. Studying with a woman experienced in the field is a way to gain familiarity with this mitzvah. A rebbitzin or a mentor will be able to refer you to someone who can give you personal instruction and direction. All right, Hannah Weisberg. That's a cool story, lady, but we got to get into the nitty gritty. There are all kinds of different colors, if it's black or brown or like spotting, Bedikin cloths, Bedikin clothing, smells. Really? Why not? Kids, I had a story to tell, but we can't tell it yet. But of all the stories that I tell you, this might be my best. It's the funniest fucking thing. Really? Oh, I don't know if it's my best story. It's like choosing children, but still, it is so fucking funny. Really? It is so fucking funny. Is it? I mean, some people might think it's funny, but I've got to restart these streams. Why? Why not? Maybe I could tell the story as I'm doing this. Really? I mean, why not? All right. So many schools
power that Torah has upon
keep
us,
separation
not to
between the boys and the
And it's
girls,
a very important source of wisdom,
or they're
especially
completely
for
separate
us, Daf
schools,
Yomi Chevra. 'Cause a
just
lot of times, one
depending.
of the most beautiful things about Daf Yomi is you see so much
And
there. One of the most difficult
so
things
I can
about
tell
Daf
you,
Yomi
like
is
for
the
my
next day, I had absolutely no idea.
adolescence, I was around boys
So something that's very frustrating.
all the
It's
time
like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
from
We'll say, of course. Now,
the beginning of the school
the answer
day
to that is, you know,
until
what's the answer to that? The answer to
the
that
end of the
is
school day
Chazara.
without
Chazara.
any
That's why a person has this
interaction with women.
We don't
Really, yeah,
The real power of
none.
Torah is what it does to you as a person, what it does to your neshama. That is nothing.
Really, I mean, unless it was like
It is entirely experiential.
there were just
And
no,
sitting and
no,
learning Torah,
nothing.
by definition,
Really, yeah.
fundamentally
Why?
changes me
That's
as a
just how it
person.
was.
And even if I don't remember one word,
The school was like even like had like separate wings basically, like so. I mean, as best as it could, so that boys were with the boys, girls with the girls. There was no dating, and
So it's interesting how I remember again from the last cycle of Chulin we learned about this. When you shaft the bird, when you shaft Ochos,
everything was kept as separate as possible.
This
Really?
focus as to whether or not that
Yeah,
that
dog.
artery needs to be cut.
All right, that's cool. What else?
You should be careful to do it, because that allows the animal to bleed out faster. And
So-
the animal will blood faster. That's called the breathing. The Gemara says, "Izaba breathing." We'll say, watch this.
I mean, like in the same way that Yeshiva University is one school, but there's like boy sections and girl sections. It was like that. However, Yeshiva University, Los Angeles, the high school, that had separate buildings. Did we have separate buildings? Definitely separate.
Right? A person grows up in a home where his parents are ignorant. Ignorant doesn't have to mean they're not ignorant. It just means they don't know what they're
Yeah, I mean, you could say in a lot of ways it was separate buildings because but like there were either like tunnels or like hallways that had connected the buildings, but it was like an old mansion. Anyway, really, yeah. Why? Why not? It's just what was offered.
Because those that
Anyway,
are going to create and affect the greatest change for Am Yisrael. Share Yatzu Shmaya Ba'kan Neymar. So we'll see examples. So we'll say, what's the pshat? What's the
is
pshat?
that the end of your
That
story?
is the
No,
children
we're getting
of
there.
Amei Haaretz who make the greatest impact to Klal Yisrael. Not the children who are the children whose fathers are coming to come.
I mean, we were with boys so much. And you know, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't have any sisters.
They have to work 10 times harder.
Who's rap?
They have to work 10 times harder. Sometimes they have to work against
My cousins
parental
were
resistance. Certainly, again, they have to learn a whole
male.
body of things that perhaps they did
I had
not
female
see.
cousins, but they were like far away.
Like the commitment and the
And
resilience that those Talmidei Chachamim
so I
have,
gotta be
sometimes
honest with
people
you.
who grew up with it
As a little boy,
don't necessarily
even
have
going
the
up
same.
to my
And therefore, ultimately, the contribution that those Talmidei Chachamim will make
perhaps
ultimately, again, is tenfold or what I was going to say. It's an incredible,
adolescence.
incredible idea. So, and again, it was like, and if you notice up here, the Gemara
I didn't
says,
know women
Be
menstruated.
careful.
It wasn't a
And if you tell
thing
someone to be careful, what does that mean? What does
in
that
our
mean?
house.
Right?
It
And
was.
people generally, again,
I
are
could
not
never tell the
careful
difference
with this,
between
right?
with my
Why? Because what's
mother.
so interesting in the belt, in the
I
world,
never saw any real signs of it.
they put so much primacy and importance.
I never saw tampons or pads or anything.
Yichus is wonderful. Right? Yichus is beautiful. It's fantastic. We all are beautiful.
It was like,
They put so much on-
I'll just be honest with you, and I'm not going to be fucking alone when I say this. Many young men think women have penises. Really? I mean, we know that they're different, and we know that they're made like, you know, like Adam and Eve, but we don't know. We don't know. And anybody who's out there like, oh, I knew. Okay, that's cool. Not all of us knew. And some of us were really fucking curious about it. Really? Yeah. Why? I remember being in preschool? And somebody said, "Do you know that girls don't have penises?" And it was like, what are you talking about? Preschool? Somebody come up with that rumor. And to this day, I don't even fucking know. But that's your funny story? Absolutely not. Really? Yeah. But let's just say I was bound and determined to figure this one out. And I did. Really? Oh, yeah. Anyway. Allegedly. But, it's just like women were, I was around men, and women were just like, there was my mom, but she was a fucking magician, and I just didn't know. I didn't know. And I remember there were like health books. We didn't go over them though. And I think this is a terrible, terrible thing. Like, I would teach my kids anatomy very early on, but just in my schooling would not. And we weren't even allowed to look at that part of the book. We had to look at the part about fucking the food pyramid, but not like that women have vaginas. It was like, I mean, I don't even fucking.
Are the ones who aren't born with the spiritual silver spoon in their mouth, and instead try.
It was just like a.
On their own and make it. Those are the people who
it's like a thing that I know is true, and I've witnessed allegedly, but that fucking thing is doing a whole lot there. And women, you should know, I have to fucking adjust these others. You're really blessed with something. Hashem has blessed you with something really, really powerful. And you know, if you're like,
the part of this posit we're going to focus on over here is that why is it
like, if anybody's ever been ashamed or any of that shit, you shouldn't be. It's perfectly normal.
Sorry. What was answered back to you, ViralRabbi?
And
what does this mean? So
it's like,
this was a guy. The guy claimed that he could run faster than anything. He'd even run faster.
I mean, I read in the Bible about women having different parts, but it never really clicked with me. I was just very innocent. Still am, baby. Virgin is the new fallen snow. But it was just like,
so now he was racing against the human runner.
How can it be any different?
And this human runner outpaced him 3
inches
of much lesser distance.
I had my grandmother, but she was not menstruating by the time I came around, and so
we say to this guy, if you can't beat the human runner,
I didn't have any suspicions there. And like, again, my mother was fucking a magician, so
if you can't beat the runner for 3 million, you certainly can't go ahead and you certainly can't outpace him for Gil Barzos. So the says,
it was just like,
and if you can't outpace him on dry land,
I had no idea. I really had no idea until maybe we'll say this one day. But no, I was very suspicious something was going on as a little boy.
That's simply it. You think you can understand, you think that you can see, you think that you know,
but
at the end of the day you don't.
It's just a thing that it was like, I didn't know how. I mean, I didn't know how people fucking reproduced. And
to be successful in such a dramatic way.
You know, in cartoons and stuff, they said it was like a stork. But I never saw those funny fucking birds outside. And
for taking 4 steps, then ultimately, again, you're going to be overwhelmed. when I reward Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Shiratzu lefanai kisusim alachas kamo v'kamo. So Nebuchadnezzar took 4 steps and was rewarded. You'll be overwhelmed when you see the reward ultimately of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, who ran before me. Like
I can say I was at a friend's house,
so the Gemara says,
and his mom had recently had a baby, and the mother was going to change the baby, and she asked me, "Have you ever seen a baby be changed?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Do you want to see a baby be changed?" And I said, "Sure, because I've never seen this. This is like a new experience for me. I'm like a little boy." And I remember thinking, "Where's the penis?" But I was like, maybe it grows. Maybe it's like something that like grows or something. Like, I don't know. I still wasn't raising any. No fucking bells were going off. I just remember being like, something is missing here. But I wasn't like, I'm focused on like poop, allegedly, as well. And so I'm not like paying that much attention. But I was still like, did the poop come out of, where did, I just don't know. I was very, very confused. And I know I'm not alone on this. I know I'm not alone. And I went.
Identify some of these incredible stories and just go through them. I think it's a worthy.
I went
so what happened?
up to like. Well, I can say this. I remember. I remember. So, like I said, generally, boys and girls were kept separate. But as a little kid, sometimes boys and girls are like, do not have separate facilities. But as you get older, you do. And as I got older, we did. But I can still remember. I could name this girl's name, but I will not. But I still know exactly. We were.
Obviously, again, the day was prolonged by everyone. So Baladon Merodach, I keep getting his name wrong. Baladon.
Basically,
Baladon ultimately saw this 10 extra daylight hours. Like, what's going on over here? So the Gemara says. I
don't know if anybody can still hear me, but all right. So I was really like, huh, but I still didn't put it all together.
So Baladon said, "What is this?"
But I remember being in school, and this girl starts crying, and I wasn't by her. I just was like, I just remember all these girls were like huddled around her, and the teachers were like talking to each other, and I was young. Still remember her. And all the boys were like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? And no one would tell us. I still to this day don't know what happened. But I have a suspicion that she got her first period. And I remember this would happen like occasionally, but then I got to a certain point in school where boys and girls were no longer together and had no idea. So I still don't know why this girl was just randomly crying. I really don't. This girl sucked her thumb up until she's probably still sucking her thumb. But that's something she couldn't kick. This bitch had an oral fixation on like anything I'd ever seen in my life. Really, yeah. Probably gives amazing head. I'm just putting it out there. But I never knew why this girl was crying. I still don't, but I thought about it in the years since and thought that might be what had happened. But as the girl started to maybe start to menstruate, we were separated and different. Like I went to a different school where I was with boys, so it wasn't ever really clear to me what was going on. That's the story. No, no. So I did see a baby get changed, but that was like anything could. I mean, anything could have been happening. It could have grown. Who knows? I want to say this though on camera. I think it's. I think everybody tries their own poop at some point in their life, except for this guy because my shit doesn't stink because I don't poop allegedly. But um, there's just something. I think everybody tries their own poop. Everybody tries their own pee as a little kid. They recognize that they don't like it. They touch it, and then they're like, okay, well, I guess we're not supposed to play with that shit. But if they didn't, we would be eating it to this day, or we would be. I just think everybody tries their own poop. Really? When you're in the bathroom alone, I think people do. At least as a little kid. Like little kid. And then you realize this tastes like shit, literally, and then you're like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. Or try your own pee. I can remember I didn't really necessarily do that, but this one time my family was having a cookout and I thought it would be really cool. I was talking to my cousin and I'm like, I wonder if I spit in a glass like and filled it all the way up and then drank it, what would happen? He's like, oh, you should try that. Anyway, so my other cousin, my older cousin, we ended up telling this person, and that person told my mom. My mom was like, you can't do that. Anyway, but people are curious as little kids, and I feel that somebody out there is going to be like, thank you for saying that you think everybody eats their own poop at some point and drinks their own pee, because I bet they do. I bet that is something that happens everywhere in the world. Amazonian tribes are doing it. People who think they're living in the 25th century are doing that when they're little kids. The Chinese are doing it. Jews are doing it. Muslims are doing it. African tribal people, everybody's trying it. Really? I bet. I've never been able to I don't think I bet there's a scientific study somewhere about this, but I've never heard of it. But I bet everybody, there's a book, Everybody Poops. We never had that book because we don't, but maybe everybody else does. Really? I whiz like a motherfucker, though, allegedly. I'm the whiz kid. All right, so back to our story. I still have this bitch. It sucks. Really? Yeah, it's the worst. All right, so you think everybody eats their own poop? At some point, I think everybody tries their own poop. And there's something to that. Like, what if it tasted really good? What if you were missing out this whole time?
This king is the king of Babel before Nebuchadnezzar. So his name was Merodach Baladan Ben.
And children may see dogs eat poop, and they might be like, oh, maybe this is like a normal thing. I mean, you have to understand how little kids are. And this is very brave of me to talk about. Nobody talks about these things. Nobody. But I know that they're perfectly natural and perfectly human beliefs and experiences, and I feel like people appreciate this. Maybe not now, but 10,000 years in the future when nobody's pooping, like this guy. Oh, what the fuck? What is this bullshit?
It's actually very beautiful. So his son Balagon becomes king, but as part of the way that his son gave his father covet is he took his father's name as his own. So instead of just being,
what do you mean you don't poop? I can tell you this: if you eat a pure protein diet, You don't poop. Really? I've gone at times in my life, years, perhaps my entire life, but you just don't poop. And I think people in the future will have protein diets and then they won't poop either. But I mean, I've talked to gastroenterologists about it on Shabbat, like freakish conversations. They didn't know this was a thing, but I know it's a thing. Really? Yeah. Anyway, but for those people who do poop, I think they try it. There's also this thing of a child. It's called meconium, which it sounds like some kind of element, but it is a thick, sticky, tar-like black or dark green substance passed in the first 24 to 48 hours after birth. It is normal and composed of amniotic fluid, mucus, and cells ingested in the womb. Within a few days, it transitions to brown, green, or yellow. All right, so you didn't even have that, dog. I'm perfect. Who knows? Anyway. Okay, what the fuck? All right. So I'll just get down to brass tacks, or maybe to what brass tacks or talkless. All right, so we're gonna try this. So my Rebbitzin, the Colonel Lavarka, she's not here, and she's from New York, but she's from upstate. But she did have quite a East Coast accent. Not Brooklyn, not New Jersey, like upstate New York, but not too upstate. All right. Yo, dog, I want you to explain the laws of NIDDAH with all the colors and when you can touch your husband and all of that. But I want you to make it like an episode of Coffee Talk from Saturday Night Live. And please put emphasis on the words so that it's easier to have a New York accent. And please, like, be very specific about the colors and stuff. And have it be so that it would be approved by the Coffee Talk people and any rabbi anywhere in the world. All right, here we go, folks. All right, Coffee Talk. Get a cup. Sit down. All right. All right. So, all right, Coffee Talk. Get a cup. Sit down. I'm verklempt, emotionally overwhelmed, and we're going to talk about Nida, tastefully, halakhically, according to Jewish law, and in a way that would make any rabbi anywhere say, "No, it's fine." All right, you going to be able to pull this off? We're going to try. Cue Barbara Streisand energy, lots of hand motions. Linda Richmond voice. I don't know if I can do it. I can't really. So Nida. Let's talk Nida. Not in a dirty way. I just don't have that. Not in a dirty way, God forbid, but in a holy, structured, very Jewish way. First of all, this is not about shame. This is not about women are icky. This is about time, bodily rhythm, and boundaries. Step 1, the bleeding. When a married Jewish woman sees uterine blood, Real blood, not from a cut, not from a hemorrhoid. Oh, boy, fig, hemorrhoid. Not from brushing your teeth, but blood from the uterus. Boom, she becomes Nida. At that moment, no physical contact with husband, no hand holding, no passing objects hand to hand, no sitting on the same couch cushion if it's squishy, separate beds. Yes, even if you're tired. Judaism is very into self-control. That's close. This is called harchakot, distancing rules. The colors, the kolas, the kolas. Very important. Pay attention. Now, people mess this up, so let's be clear. Problematic colors show to a rabbi: bright red, black, brown, deep maroon, anything that looks like wine, rust, or old blood. If it looks like blood that has feelings, call a rabbi. Generally, not problematic, depends, but calmer. White, clear, yellow, beige, light tan, very faint pink, like a strawberry. Thought about blushing. Like a strawberry thought about blushing and flushing? No, anywhere. But here's the rule: when in doubt, you ask. This is literally a profession called a Yotzet Halakha, female halachic advisor. Judaism said, let women ask women. Progressive, we love to see it. The waiting game. Once bleeding stops completely, not mostly stopped, not I think it's over, stopped, dead, gone. She does Hefsek Tahara, a clean internal check before sunset. If that's clean, we start counting. Then 7 clean days. 7 days. No blood, no stains, clean checks. 7. Like creation. Judaism loves a theme. The mikvah. Everybody calm. Everybody calm down. After sunset on the 7th clean day, she immerses in a mikvah. Natural water, rainwater, natural water, rainwater, spring, very spa, very ancient. This is not a bath. This is a transformation. And after that, tahara, ritually permitted. Touching, the big reveal. Before mikvah, no touching. After mikvah, all touching permitted. Hand holding, hugging, affection, marital intimacy within halakha. Judaism says absence makes the heart grow fonder. Very romantic for a religion that also regulates your kitchen sink. Final coffee talk thought. Nita is about discipline, about renewal, about desire that isn't constant, about making marriage feel new every month. And frankly, if if everyone had built boundaries like this, half of therapy wouldn't exist. Amber Klimt, talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Nita, oppressive or secretly the most emotionally intelligent system ever invented? Discuss. All right, that's not exactly what we wanted. Yo, dog, talk about the different colors have names. Also, make it so that if someone were reading this, there would be emphasis with the words. Like coffee would not be Coffee, it would be Cawfee. Okay, coffee talk, round two. I hear you. You want the colors with names, and you want it written so a person reading it cannot avoid doing a full Long Island, Brooklyn nasal situation. And it still has to be 100% halakhically safe and rabbi approved. We got this. Coffee talk. The colors of Nita. Put down your mug, open your eyes. This is important. Linda Richmond, dialed through 11. So, Nita, everyone says, oh, it's blood. No, it's colors. Judaism does not do vague. We name things. Autumn, autumn, red, red. This is blood, blood, like fresh blood, period blood. Oh, that's definitely blood, blood. Problem, Nita, call it. If you see autumn, you don't philosophize, you don't squint, you don't say maybe the lighting. You say autumn, we're done. Yayin, yayin, wine colored. This is the deep burgundy, maroon, old wine on tablecloth energy. It's not bright red, but it's got intent. Also problematic. Show a rabbi. Judaism says if it looks like wine, it might as well be blood. Very poetic, very strict. Shachor, shachom, black or brown. This is old blood vibes. Old. This is old blood vibes. Brown, rust, coffee ground looking. Not cute, not neutral. Blood that went to therapy and came back darker. Still counts, still Nita. Varad, Varad, pink. Ah, now everyone gets nervous. Light pink, faint, like blood that thought about showing up and then changed its mind. This is context dependent, size dependent, fabric dependent. This is show the rabbi Kola. Not panic, not ignore, just ask. Lavan, Lavan, white. White is clean, white is innocent, white did nothing wrong. If it's just white discharge, not blood, not Nita, Judaism does not punish mucus. We're not animals. Zahov, Zahov, yellow. Yellow is normal, common, boring, not blood. Unless it's mixed with red or brown. Then we side eye and call someone. Beige, tan. No fancy Hebrew, just vibes. This is the annoying one. Sometimes oil discharge, sometimes leftover blood, sometimes nothing. This is why rabbis have job security. You don't decide, you ask. Fabric matters. Yes, it does. Listen carefully. A stain on white underwear taken very seriously. Colored underwear more lenient. Why? Because Holocaust says if you can't see it clearly, we don't invent problems. Judaism, anti anxiety since Sinai. Final coffee talk thought. Nita isn't did you bleed? It's what color, what size, what fabric, what time, what context. This is not vibes, this is law. And if you're even unsure, Judaism literally says ask, don't guess. I'm verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves. Topic: why does Judaism trust women with this system more than any ancient culture ever and still make everyone nervous about it? Discuss. Still not it. Yo, dog, you didn't talk at all about Bedikin cloths and Bedikin clothes. I want the nitty gritty. And also, you're not doing enough emphasis on the words for a Long Island, Brooklyn, New Jersey accent. I want that for all of the words where applicable. All right, now we're doing it. You want nitty gritty. You want badikas, cloths, Adam, Mark, Dakuk, and you want it written so if somebody reads it loud, they accidentally sound like their aunt from Great Neck. Coffee talk, the clothes, the checks, the whole Megillah. This is 100% halakhic. A rabbi could print this and not lose their job. First of all, what is badika? Badika, inspection, internal check. Judaism does not say, you're fine. Judaism says we check. A badika is done using a cloth called an aid. An eid. Eid means witness because the cloth is literally testifying. Very Jewish, very legal, very intense for laundry. The Eid, the Badika cloth. This is soft, white, clean, no patterns, no colors, no lint, no nonsense. Think hospital white, funeral serious. Why? Because we are judging colors. And patterns lie. Hefsek Tahara. Hefesek Tahara. This is the big one. This happens the day the bleeding stops, the day bleeding stops, before sunset. The Badika says, we are officially done bleeding. You do one proper check with Eid. Results, if it comes out Levan, white, Mazel Tov, you start counting. If it comes out Adom, Chum, Shachor, Yayin, nope, try again tomorrow. No arguing, no poetry, just law. Makta, chuk, Makta, chuk. Ah, this is where people panic. Mach, cloth. The chuk, pressed, held in. This is a second cloth gently placed internally for a short time before sunset. Purpose to prove nothing is coming back. If the Makta chuk comes out clean, we breathe. Stain, we cry quietly and wait another day. You don't have to cry. Not everyone does this today, but many do. Ask your rabbi. Judaism loves questions. The Sheva Nekiim. Sheva Nekiim. 7 clean days. Each day, two badikas. Morning before sunset. Using new Edim, not the same one. God is watching. Now, the clothes results, pay attention. When you look at the Eid, you're asking, Adom, red, blood, game over. That day doesn't count. Yayin, wine colored, deep red, maroon, burgundy. Looks like it came from a Seder spill. Suspicious, show a rabbi. Chum, shachor, brown, black, old blood energy, rust vibes, coffee ground sadness, counts as blood, verad, pink, light pink, faint, barely there. This is call someone smart. Lavan, white, clean, pure, innocent. The cloth did nothing wrong. The cloth did nothing wrong. Zahov, Zahov, yellow. Normal discharge, human body stuff. Judaism says relax. Fabric rule, very important. If the stain is on an Eid, taken very seriously. On white underwear, serious. On colored underwear, more lenient. Why? Because Halakha says we don't create problems where we can't see clearly. Judaism is anti drama, shockingly. Final coffee talk moment. The system is precise, technical, detailed, and completely trusts women. No public inspection, no embarrassment. Just cloth, colors, time, and verklempt. I need a bagel. Topic: why does Judaism treat bodily reality like a legal document and somehow make it spiritual? Discuss. All right, is that what you wanted to do? I don't think. Well, actually, yo, dog, great job. Okay, so you don't have to do that, write it like that anymore. Um, so there are these pills that a woman can take and basically limit her period to like once every 3 months. In that situation, wouldn't that mean that she doesn't have to go to the mikvah as often? All right, cool. We're back to regular speech. Still coffee, energy, just less theater. Short answer, yes. Then the nuance. Yes, if a woman uses hormonal pills that make her period come once every 3 months, then yes, we should generally be going to the mikvah less often because mikvah follows bleeding, not the calendar. Now let's do it properly and rabbi approved. Now let's do this properly and rabbi approved. The core rule, very important. A woman goes to the mikvah only after she has had uterine bleeding that makes her nida. The bleeding completely stops. She does a hefsek tahara. She counts 7 clean days. No bleeding, no nida, no mikvah. Judaism does not say it's been a month, go dunk. Judaism says what actually happened in the body. So, what about period suppression pills? These include extended cycle birth control, continuous oral contraception, contraceptives, certain hormonal IUD situations, medical regimens prescribed by a doctor. If the pills cause no bleeding at all for months or only spotting that is halakhically non problematic, then she does not become Nida, and therefore no separation, no 7 clean days, no mikvah during that time. Yes, that's correct. But very Jewish, but spotting changes everything. Here's where it gets tricky. Hormonal methods often cause light spotting, breakthrough bleeding, brown or pink stains. Some of that does count as Nida, some of it does not. Some of it depends on color, size, and where it was seen. So in real life, women on these pills often ask more shilos, halakhic questions, even though they go to the mikveh less often. Less dunking, more texting the rabbi pictures of stains. Cropped, respectful, anonymous. Yes, that's a thing. Is it? Yeah. Is this halakhically legit? Absolutely. Major post-scheme halakhic authorities have allowed this when appropriate, especially for medical reasons, hormonal regulation, severe pain, fertility planning, shalom bayit, marital harmony. Shalom bayit, marital harmony. Important. You do not start or adjust hormones for NIDA reasons alone without asking a rabbi who works with doctors. Judaism is very big on medicine first, halakha second, but coordinated. Yeah, not really when it comes to fucking verses, but all right. One more subtle point: even with no period, a woman still has to be mindful of unexpected bleeding. If real bleeding starts, NIDA rules kick in immediately. There is no automatic exemption forever. Halakha follows reality, not intentions. Bottom line: put this on a mug. Mikvah is tied to bleeding. Fewer periods equals fewer NIDA cycles. Hormonal suppression can be halakhically acceptable. Spotting creates complexity, not prohibition. Individual guidance is non negotiable. If you want, we can go into. So I think that in the future, women will maybe just have 2 periods a year if you want. I mean, you can do it any way you want. But all right. Is that the end of your fucking story? Linda Richmond? No. All right. So I got to finish this fucking story. All right. So again, I'm wet behind the ears. I'm not around chicks. My mother's a fucking magician. I never see fucking pads or tampons. So I can tell you this: we had this thing where if we had people staying over for, let's say, a Friday night or something, uh, uh, there was like a basket that my mother would make up that had like toothbrush, toothpaste, or like maybe it was toothpaste and or not toothpaste, not even a paste, toothwash and a fucking Shabbat toothbrush. Who knows what the fuck that was? It'd have like tissues, like Kleenex or whatever. It would have maybe like chapstick. Really? It wasn't just for Friday night. It was anytime we ever had anybody over. So maybe it would have like toothpaste, uh, toothbrush, floss. What else? Little shampoo. Well, no, there's shampoo in the shower, in the bathroom, or in the tub too. But maybe it had like the little shampoo and that you get at a fucking hotel. What else? Mouthwash. Just any kind of toiletry that you would ever need, and it had pads and um, tampons. And I never really questioned it. Um, and another thing, it's good to, if you're ever in a, let's just say you're playing house with some chick for whatever reason, because everybody who watches this isn't going to just be like automatically like the most halakhic person in the world, but have I'll tell you what, I've introduced women to menstruation cups, and they're like, it's changing fucking lives. Like I've given them to, I would have them, and I'd give them to girls. Really? Uh huh. And they'd be like, it's changed my life. I'd be like, I know. You just wash it out. So that's a big thing. Menstruation cups are huge. But back then, menstruation cups were the thing. But pads and um, tampons, whatever. You ever use a tampon? Yeah, for fucking bloody noses, but that was way later in my life. Really? Yeah. Why? I get really bad bloody noses. All right, is that the end of your story? No. So here's the story, and then we're done. So I don't know exactly my age, but I boys and girls are totally separate. Like, meaning, how separate were you? Um, you could go like like uh, you could go all day and not see a woman. Really? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Really? Yeah. I mean, it's like separate as possible, and under the configurations. Again, not Shiva University, LA, boys and girls. Those are separate buildings. But even they have like male women have male teachers sometimes, and men have female teachers. So it's not completely like, but as much as it could be, and it was the most separate of like anywhere around, like as separate as you could get. Really? Yeah. Really? Unless you're homeschooled, yeah. So I'm telling you, like we were just separate, and like even to the point like girls had their side of the school basically, and boys had our side, and there was like separation, but there was a main stairwell. And now you got to understand, like this. How would I describe what was it like? It wasn't quite Dead Poet Society, but as close to Dead Poet Society as my family could find. It was like affordable Dead Poet Society, but still very expensive. Without being a boarding school, though Dead Poet Society, I believe, was a boarding school. Um, but it's what you would consider like a day school, um, similar to a day school. And we treated it like Dead Poet Society. Oh, Captain, my Captain, all that bullshit. And we became very close as boys, and we'd shit on each other all fucking day. We'd make fun of each other, but not to the point I feel that we. I mean, you could consider it bullying, but we were just not to the point. Like there was always a limit, and I've got to be honest with you. Like people, like how would the bullying happen? Like I was a huge New York Yankees fan. Why? Because dynasty, baby. And this is during the heyday of Seinfeld. And I had glasses and perhaps a little stocky. And wherever I fucking walked in that school with that jacket on, I'd hear, George, George, George. Hear this all the fucking time. And I was fine with it because I know I look like George Costanza, but I'm repping this fucking Yankees coat, not because George Costanza represented it, because Joe Torre represented it. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, just wait till October. And we're going to fucking beat the shit out of whatever shitty fucking team you like. Anyway, I'd hear George all the time. And it really never bothered me. I'm sure bullying did get to some kids, but if that happened, I think that you would just tell one of the male, our teachers, and but it never got to that. At least we'd give people shit. And I remember seeing some kids cry, but they were just, I hate to say it, but they were taking shit. But we wouldn't shit on people for things that they like what um I mean, it's just part of growing up. I remember 2008 was the first time I ever heard about. Well, there were some like anti-fraternity things, like some loser douches like made people drink too much water and they died. That kind of stuff wasn't cool, but like we just never heard about anti-bullying. You're just being a pussy if you fucking can't handle it. And but I think it made me strong, like really strong. And that's why I can put up with these fucking asshole anti-Semitic douches all fucking day and be like, get the fuck out of here. Next, next, next. I'm not sitting here like, oh, what am I gonna fucking do? All right, that shit bothers me. Um, Nebbishness, I can't stand nebbishness, and I'm not. I'm fucking confident, strong, hilarious, cool, and I feel like that's how I want. I mean, I know that's how I want Judaism to be in the future. Less nebbish, more cool. So anyway, this doesn't have to do anything with the story, but I just want to like lay the foundation. So there's a main stairwell, and this main stairwell, you could get anybody in it. So it wasn't like the boys' stairwell, and it wasn't the girls' stairwell. Uh, it was like the central stairwell. So you could have parents coming through that stairwell. You could have a coach coming down that stairwell. You could have administrators coming down that stairwell, teachers coming down that stairwell, and especially if someone were going to the office or something, students coming down that stairwell. As well, there was this part of the school. We didn't really have like a nurse. I remember when they checked for scoliosis, which I think I have. They just like kind of looked. It's like some lady, like no doctor. This is the same lady who answered the phones, which nothing wrong with that. But like, give me somebody who like at least has like taken first aid or something. She's just like, yeah, you're good. And um, there's this part of the school that it's where all the yearbooks were actually, and so but if you ever got sick, they would put you in this room. And I remember my parents were like, if you're sick, you tough it out. And we'll pick you up. And then if you're still sick at home, but it was like, I didn't spend a lot of time in this room. And I always wondered, why is there a fucking bed in here? There are like multiple beds in here. Like, they look like a fucking MASH hospital, kind of. And it was just like no boys I ever saw go in this room unless they were really sick. Anyway, it was just like the boys we knew all the fucking ins and outs of this fucking school, but this area we never really. I remember we just never really went in there. But there was this fucking main stairwell. And this school, I hate to say it, but it was just, it was very expensive, but it was very poor. The kids there weren't poor, generally, at all. Some, but it was a mix of really, really wealthy families, really poor families, and kind of just mixed together for a classical education, a religious classical education. And did I talk about the stairwell yet? But you have to understand the details of this stairwell. This used to be a mansion. and then it was some other stuff. But like I remember, um, there this was like a mansion. It had tunnels, like secret prohibition tunnels that I always wanted to go into. Tunnels have always fascinated me, but there was like a pool that became storage. It was like a very wealthy person's mansion, and they were so wealthy that they built a mansion and then they never slept in it. They would only throw parties there. So it was like a party mansion, and it wasn't Dead Poet Society. How do I describe it? It's as far east as Dead Poets is, far west as Dead Poet Society gets. Like generally, like that's more East Coast boarding schools. Uh, but this was definitely not a normal school. I have a friend of mine who would always say, every single kid I ever met from that school was like more unique than the next one. We were all very unique and in different stuff. Fascinating people there. And I remember there was like a ramp where they used to, I forget, it was like a delivery ramp. And we always thought, hey, this school could be like ADA compliant. And we had a teacher of ours who was also a lawyer who was like, this thing's never going to be ADA compliant. The ramp was like super sloped, and you would have been like, it would have been like uh Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump when he's like sliding down the stairs or whatever. It would have been like that. But we always thought, hey, maybe they put an elevator in this bitch, and like it never in a million years. This is like the least ADA compliant building maybe in the United States. I mean, it was not ADA compliant at all. And this, we didn't really have a really good handyman. We we knew him, but he had a lot to do. He had to mow a big lawn and trash and all kinds of stuff. And I remember the school never really got cleaned, except we'd have something called open house where people from the community to come in and see. And what we would do, and this is a really good idea, Israel, one of the first things you all should do is you give the kids the last period of school to clean. And when you have, whatever, hundreds of kids cleaning something, you just give them all a paper towel, Windex, or whatever. The place will be fucking spotless in like 20 minutes. Like when you have all these hands moving around, everything is super clean. Getting spit wads off the fucking ceiling, that's another story. But like walls are clean, everything gets really clean when you have hundreds of people cleaning simultaneously. It's really amazing. The place just like it's like ants, like just go. And you have hundreds of people fucking cleaning all at once. It's incredibly efficient. And we would do that like twice a year. But aside from that, and the stairwell would get cleaned. Now the stairs, let's talk about them. Well, funny thing about this fucking school, like the boys' stairwell that we had, I remember we'd be like fucking going. Some people are going up this way, and you'd like slap a guy on the back of the head, and he'd be like, "Who the fuck was that?" Like we were always fucking with each other, going into essentially Shacharis, like our morning prayer, and we'd go and we'd read Tehillim, we'd read Psalms, and fucking hate them. Anyway, after prayer or like right, we'd read Psalms and just be like, this is the most boring shit I've ever fucking read in my entire life. Anyway, and then we get to Psalm 119 and it's the worst. Anyway, so the stairs, well, the other stairs, and they were all like this. They had like, it's like, who fucking built this building? It was like a house. It was hilarious. If you ever saw a chip in the wall, it would be like 7 different colors, maybe 15 different colors, because the person who threw the parties, let's say, and this was always his thing, we'd be like, what's your favorite color? And you'd be like, teal. And you'd be like, great. And then you'd go into your guest room, and the whole room would be teal. He would repaint for any person. So there's this stuff called Fordite, which is like all this the different layers of paint from um, like a like a just when you have lots of paint that builds up, but it happens in like automotive spray booths and things. Um, it becomes like a gem, almost like a type of a type of geology, but it's not. I mean, it's like synthetic. But the same thing with in the walls. You fucking like if you've ever seen a gobstopper. I don't know what one tastes like, but like if you cut it in half and you see it's got like a bunch of fucking layers, that's what the wall would look like. I remember looking at the chips on the corner of the fucking school and like it was just like that. If the school never got painted, I mean I've seen it since then. It looks fine, looks a lot better. But back then, I remember being like, this school is disgusting. And then there was this bathroom. Oh, this bathroom. There are all the bathrooms. I could tell you all about them. No urinals in the whole fucking school. No urinals. Which is always fast. Really? No urinals? Yeah. But there were tons of sinks, which is not the same. There would be random ass sinks like in the fucking schoolroom. There were sinks everywhere. And there was like nothing on the wall except a fucking satellite view of Israel. That's like the only thing that was on the wall. Ask anybody, they'd be like, yeah, I mean, that was basically it. We had like a map of the United States from the fucking Hoover administration, and in another room, and in this one room, a satellite map of Israel, which is all you fucking needed. Anyway, and we did this thing when we were young. We put a timeline around the wall, and that helped me so much to this day. Like when I think of time, like as a timeline. Anyway, did I talk about this fucking central staircase? So there's this staircase, and let me describe it. They were like white and teal checkerboard tiles. Why? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Who picked this? I have no idea. And you go up the stairs, and the stairs had never, you don't wax stairs generally, but like the floors had never been waxed. It was just fucking LVT, like linoleum vinyl tile or whatever. It's like, imagine like tile where there's no wax and it's just digging into the tile, and the people are just like, pretty soon we'll go through the floor, who cares? The teachers got paid nothing. They would get paid far less than a normal teacher. I don't know how this fucking school, it's just a really unique place. And the stairs, they had like these bars as you would go up the stairs, and sometimes like I don't know how one of the bars would just stick out, and it'd be this just like really fucking sharp like saber like that would just stick out, and you like some kid would just like go like this and like this and like this, break it off, and then hit another kid or jam it in the other way, and some teacher would be walking by and like try to fix it, but there was just nobody who was going to fix anything. And I hate to say it, but like it would have been a lot to keep up, but there was just no, I don't want to call it the custodian or but it was like he had enough to do with like getting all the trash out and stuff for hundreds of students. Like it was just a lot. Anyway, did I talk about the stairway? So this weird checkerboard stairwell, and it was just you walk into the door. It's like this, I'll say like a poor man's Dead Poet Society. You walk in, it's like that School and Bully in the video game, but like not nearly that nice. And there's like a beautiful great lawn, beautiful everything from the outside. This looks like the fucking, but inside this building it's seen some shit. And it would be like there'd be like a step and then another step, And like the teachers, when they'd open the door, they'd have to like jank the door. It was just like there's no, the handyman's like, that does not exist here. And then you get in, and then you either go upstairs. It literally is this: step up, then another step, then you go upstairs or downstairs. There's no ramp, there's no handicap. I mean, that was the thing. If a kid got hurt, you were just on crutches, and you'd have to, um, you'd have to like climb the stairs. Like, I mean, I remember being on crutches there, and you just kind of hop from stair to stair. I mean, it's dangerous, and it can get really slippery. I remember at another school, they did a like a refurbishment of it, and really made it nicer. And they put, I remember this was just such a big amount of money to me at the time, $100,000 elevator in it. And I remember my dad was like, "Why do you need an elevator? Like, nobody needs an elevator." And one of the heads of the school said, "If your son gets hurt, and for any reason, God forbid, is in a wheelchair or something, you're going to want this elevator." And that shut my father up. Like, oh, of course. But at the time, this was shortly after the Americans with Disabilities Act, which I think is one of the best things. And this is the thing, Israel, if you're hearing me, your shit is like my fucking school. It's all like, oh, it's just been like that for 2,000 years. Make a fucking ramp. I don't want to go there. Ramps should be everywhere. Even if you have stairs, there's a thing that you go like this, and you can go up. Ramps are really important. And elevators are really important, and escalators and all kinds of shit. But also for stages, there's like a thing that you go and it lifts you up and puts you on the stage. Someone who is in a wheelchair should not feel as if they can't perform on any stage in Israel without a lift. Lifts are really important anyway. Because I'm telling you, I went to places where this did not exist, and it was like, if you got hurt enough, you weren't going to be able to go to this school. There's just no way. I mean, you would be able to go like 20 feet in a wheelchair, and then there'd be like fucking tons of stairs. It was like this school, I feel like, had so many stairs that it was like an, is it MC Escher? Like, we had like a fucking picture of MC Escher. MC Escher? There was nothing in this fucking. Yeah, it looked like fucking this with like the stairs all over the place. And that picture was there, and I remember looking at it like, how the fuck did this exist? And then there's this other picture I remember of somebody like with a fucking globe or like a glass ball, and like seeing how that distorted things. Like there was nothing on the walls of this fucking school except like it was very plain. We had the fucking picture of Israel, and but not a whole lot. Maybe some art. And so you go into this fucking school. It goes, there's like a stair up, and then another stair, and then you're there. And it's super fucking slippery. Like, that was another thing. It's just super fucking slippery. And then there's a checkerboard on the floor. I'm sure it's changed by now. But the stairs had like a metal ridge. And I know, like, I'm minutia. You got to know all about this fucking everything about it. And it's like, wait, what does this have to do with Nita? Calm down. We'll get there. There was this edge. And if you ever like slipped and your fucking shin hit that edge, it would just literally scrape all the skin off your fucking shin. And it would be like that for the rest of the fucking semester. You'd just be like hobbling. Really? Oh, it was. Yeah. And I'm telling you, this school had a lot of fucking stairs. This other thing I want to say, this one time somebody took a quarter and put it. Everybody wanted quarters. That was a big thing. And I've got to say, my mom made sure I had quarters for the like vending machine and like soda and shit. because we'd have popcorn. That was a big thing. Like popcorn was a big fucking thing. I remember um, kids would bond over popcorn. Why? Because it was some kids like the school didn't provide meals, and maybe their parents were like poor, or there weren't many single parent families. If there were, I could like name them like out of hundreds of kids, maybe one or two, like not a lot. Um, and they would like I remember the prices of the popcorn. It was 50 cents, and it was like a meal that you could have. And I did a lot of study hall, and so it was like a meal that you could have. And I know for like, and soda was 50 cents for $1. You could get soda and popcorn and have like a snack after school. When other kids were with their stay-at-home moms or whatever, uh, those of us who had working parents would have this ability to have something after school. And I had this tube of quarters that sometimes kids would maybe go in my backpack to get, but whatever. And that was another thing. Everybody had lockers. Nobody ever locked them. Really, you were a loser douche if you locked your locker. And there's another thing, you could get ginkgoed, which is like when somebody would go in and throw all kinds of ginkgo. Oh, it smells so badly in your fucking locker. But we learned about ginkgo and how it's like a very old type of tree, just all kinds of shit. But that shit would be on everything and be there for years. There'd be ginkgo everywhere. And there was only one fucking ginkgo tree on the campus, but we all knew where it was. We all knew how badly that shit smelled. Anyway, what about this fucking stairwell? Anyway, so somebody took a fucking quarter and glued it down on the floor. And every fucking boy would just try to pick up this fucking quarter because if you had a quarter, that was like halfway to getting a soda or something like that. And I was so cool. This isn't about the story, but I was so cool. Even when I was the youngest in the youngest grade, I could go up to the another thing that was super big was fucking foosball. I'd never I never had like foosball. I've never seen foosball was so big, and I did not like the way the proper rules of foosball are you can't spin the fucking things, but man, we go in there and fucking spin these things, and they had it was like this. It was like I don't know why, but there was like a big push to like have more shit, more um recreational shit in the school, but once it broke, it was done. There was no fixing it. We had when I first got there, ping pong tables and the fucking ping pong paddles were just it would flop. It would like flap. It would be like nobody glued it, nobody cared. It was just like and you just fucking play ping pong and these fucking foosball and then the guy would break and then it'd be like and they just got rid of these fucking foosball tables. We'd put so much fucking spin on that fucking foosball, like just spin it in. And I remember we'd play older kids and like just all the younger boys would play the older boys and we'd play football and we would play all the younger kids versus all the older kids. And then as you got older, you know, you like I remember I always as one of the younger kids wanted to just touch the ball. It was like we had a way to play football that you didn't have first downs. It was just you had to score in 4 downs, and you had to cross this huge amount of grass. And there were kids who played soccer, and that's cool, and that was fine. Sometimes we would do that. We had this thing called the World Cup, and we do that in the spring or in the fall, where every team was a different country. Every like group of kids was a different country, and literally there was like a draft for all of the boys and then we in the fall or in the spring we would do March Madness and just and then we had field day, which is the biggest fucking day. It was just the biggest. It was just the best fucking day. It was just the best day. And previous school we had Olympic Day, which was really big. I remember these days very well, like very well. But field day was like a reason why you went to the school because it was like you get to compete in all the different sports. Yeah. And so there'd be like seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, 8th grade, 7th grade. So you get these little kids with seniors, and the seniors would have to like look out for the younger kids, and we would like some of the years when I first got there, we would walk to the local park, which is also like a zoo, and we would just see all the nice houses. I remember that, and just we had people looking out for us. And then when I got older, the school had expanded to have this like athletic center, and that was like a big deal too. It was just an interesting school. We'll get to the fucking stairwell though. So, but there's this fucking soda machine, and I'd never seen. I'd seen soda machines that were like bottle soda machines for like old, like the 50s. It wasn't that old, but it wasn't one of the more modern ones that had like, I don't know what they look like now, but like soda on the right side. It was like soda was like here, 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 and here. And there was this rumor around the school that sometimes this fucking soda machine would give out multiple sodas for the price of one. But it was just like a rumor. And like nobody had ever seen it. It was like how do people describe it? Like if you ever have seen The Office when Pam sees that fucking DVD that just hits the corner just perfectly, and then it really does, and she's like, I told you, like it was like that. And just people doubted that 2 sodas could come out of this thing. And it was like this school didn't give a flying fuck. It had Coke next to Pepsi, next to Dr. Pepper, next to Mountain Dew. I think there was Crush, and no diet to my knowledge. It was just, what did it have? Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, nothing cherry, Mountain Dew, which was big. And it would just be like whatever they put in there, and it was all to benefit the athletic teams, and which were always a joke. But then they got really good, and things happened. Anyway, did I talk about the stairwell yet? Anyway, so like I was really fortunate. I really mean this, that I had quarters. Like, may not have had a lot of money, but I was wealthy in quarters, and we had a slot machine, and I could ask my mom to fill this thing with quarters. This like tube, this like candy tube, and I put quarters, and they just fit perfectly. And again, sometimes I'd be like, this thing is fucking light, and I realized somebody went in my backpack or something during recess or something like that, and it was like, whatever. There were no cameras. There were no cameras anywhere. Like maybe at nowhere, maybe at a bank, but like nowhere. Everything was just on the honor system or whatever. And nobody locked their lockers. And I'll say this one story. This one kid, he had a real rough upbringing, and under general circumstances wouldn't have been at this school, but he was at the school for a little bit, and he was one of the worst students in the school. And his mom, I think, was a single mom, and he had like an older brother, and his older brother got him, like, was able to somehow get like penthouses or something. And this kid doesn't bring in one penthouse. He fills his fucking backpack like this, full of penthouses. There are no school books in there. And he's like looking in his fucking, he's like, look at this, look at this. And it's like, what the fuck? It's just like Forrest Gump, where they're like looking at Jenny. Anyway, is everything Forrest Gump? Perhaps. I'm the fucking Israeli Forrest Gump. I've told this before, at least the Jewish Forrest Gump. So I've said this to rabbis. Really, yeah. I'm everywhere, baby. So I remember this kid had this, and you went in his fucking locker, and it was just fucking penthouse, like or some shit. It wasn't Playboy. It was fucking pretty intense, like hardcore, and that lasted one day, and somebody ratted on this kid, and we never saw him again. As we got older, I we have these other lockers, and I'll just quickly say this: like I allegedly maybe had pictures of. I remember when I was in a really young kid or there. I was like in seventh grade, and I saw this one guy. Won't say his name, but he had a picture of like you weren't supposed to have. They never. It was like an unwritten rule. You shouldn't have pictures inside your locker, but nobody really fucked with you if you did. And he had a picture of Maya, the artist Maya. I always thought she looked so pretty, and I look at this bitch every fucking day, going up the stairs to chakras, let's say. And I know exactly whose locker it was. I could tell you his fucking name. I'm not going to. He's very. I always thought he was very cool, and I thought when I get older, I want to do that. And so when I got to be that age, I had pictures of the artists that I liked, and then as I got to be like a senior, I started hanging out with college girls, allegedly, and very innocent. Nothing. Truthfully, like very halakhic. Really, very halakhic. Allegedly, they're just telling a story. All this could be a fucking lie. But then uh, not that halakhic. Anyway, and I'd get pictures of it, and I fucking put them up in there, and my friends get so jealous and fucking get pissed off at me. And so this one day, I fucking put all this fucking packing tape of these fucking pictures, and I closed my locker, not realizing that the opening mechanism was like basically taped shut. And I go to open my locker, and I'm like, what the fuck? I can't open my locker. Everybody's trying, like, sword in the stone, this bitch. Nobody can get in this locker. And it was weird because I'm like, if I tell a teacher and they open my fucking locker and it's just girls, 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 uh, that's not going to be a good look. So I think I just was like, well, shit, I guess I can't do my homework tonight or something. And I got, the next day I brought in like a pair of pliers or something and just fucking took the the door handle off of this locker. Still nothing. Still could not get in. I fucking had to like crowbar it and to get this fucking thing open, and like my locker was all bent up. And I was just like, oh shit. Um, I finally was able to get into it, but anyway, did I talk about this fucking stairwell yet? Oh, but back to the soda machine. So there's always this rumor that you could get two sodas, but like nobody, like nobody, like nobody had been able to do it. And I'm telling you, when we had the opportunity, any free moment that we had, we would fucking run to this fucking foosball table and fucking like wait our turn to play, and we'd have to play against older kids. And I still know who I played. I still can tell you who I thought were the two best kids. At least they were like 2 years older than I was, or something like that. And we would. I remember how good they were. They could fucking like pass the ball between. I'm sitting here fucking spinning this motherfucking thing, and they're like, "That's not how you play." I'm like, "Fuck it." You see how fast the guy's going? Anyway, and they would go and get. Sometimes people would go and get soda, and I didn't really pay attention to this machine. I'd go and put my 50 cents in and hit the soda. And the thing is, years later, they got rid of this machine, and I'll say why. Did I tell you about that stairwell yet? Anyway, we'll get there. And then they put in like a machine that just had bottles, and it was like it just had bottles, and um, and they were more expensive. They were like $1.25 or something like that. This was the good old days where it was just boom, boom. So, did I talk about that stairwell yet? Anyway, so there's this giant fucking machine, and I mean, I don't remember the exact moment, but I remember in study hall, which is big. I'd go into the study hall, and you could go to the bathroom, but you had to sign out and sign back in, and like you could not be once 3:30 hit. You had to be somewhere. You had to be in detention, which fortunately I never really had that much, allegedly ever. Uh, you had to be or study hall. It was like you could not be roaming the school, absolutely, or you could be in the computer lab, but you had to sign out for that. And I would go to the computer lab because it was air conditioned and there weren't really too many teachers in there, and I would fucking fuck around the computers sometimes, but not often. Anyway, so this one day, let's just say I don't remember the exact date. I go and ask, can I go to the soda machine? And the person running the study hall said, yeah. So I go downstairs, and there I am. I got my fucking 50 cents. I put the 50 cents in. And I might not have been paying attention, and I went boom to hit, I don't know, Dr. Pepper, whatever, Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew. And I like hit the, let's just say the Dr. Pepper and the Mountain Dew at the same time, and I didn't realize it. And boom, both come down. And I was like, what? I just got 2 sodas. Are you fucking serious? No fucking way. This is what everybody said. It was a rumor. How the fuck did I do that? And I was like, no way. So I maybe still had a quarter or something like that, or 2. And I go, let me try that again. Boom, boom. And I hit the fucking thing, and boom, 1. Like, what the fuck? I just had 2. Now I've got 1. Now I've got 3 sodas. So I put 2 in my pocket, just like go, maybe put them in my backpack or whatever, or like in my locker or something. But I just thought to myself, how the fuck did I get 2? This has always been a rumor. I go, and you weren't allowed to talk and stuff. You had to have like spaces in between. But I'd be like trying to tell my friend, like, I got 2 sodas. I'd be like, what? I got 2 sodas. What? Anyway, next day comes. I go there, put my 50 cents in, and I'm like, boom, hit the thing for, I don't know, Dr. Pepper, Coke, or Pepsi, or some shit, and 1 comes out. Like, fuck, what the fuck happened? Like, why didn't 2 come out? Anyway, next day, same shit. I do this for like a week or 2. Still only getting 1, but I know that 2 is possible. Put 50 cents in, and I think to myself, I got a Dr. Pepper and a Mountain Dew that one time. I wonder, and like, I'm not thinking of the mechanics of the machine. I think it's just like gifting me shit, like the giving tree or whatever. And I'm like, I wonder if I hit them at the same time, if it might open up like the mechanism for multiple things at once. And I go, boom, 2 fucking come out. I'm like, no fucking way. That's what you have to do. You have to hit them at exactly the same time. And it can't be like, boom, boom. No, then you're just getting 1. It has to be boom, like exactly the same time. Like, I don't know, like whack-a-mole game or something, but like at the same time. And boom, 2 come down. So I go and I fucking start to figure this out. And I start telling my friends, hey, I got 2 sodas. They're like, no, you didn't. Like, yeah, I did. They're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, oh yeah? Next time we have study hall, which will be tomorrow, whatever, I will come back with 2. I'll go in with 50 cents and I'll come back with 2. They're like, go for it. I go down there. 2. I come back. They're like, how'd you do it? I'm like, fucking magic, baby. They're like, nobody's been able to figure this out. How did you figure it out? I'm like, I figured it out. They're like, show it to us. I'm like, all right. So then the next day comes or whatever. And I see some of the older kids going in there to put in their fucking quarter and hit Coke, and Coke comes down, and they go, and I come up to them and I say, hey, you want multiple sodas at once? They're like, that's only been a rumor. I'm like, I know. Watch this. Give me your 50 cents. And I tell them, like, if I get two, can I have one? And they'd be like, yeah, go for it. Okay, cool. And if you have 50 cents more, I'll get you another two and you can give them to whomever you want. They'd be like, okay. And I go, boom, in front of everybody. And they'd be like fucking people surrounding me. And two come down. They're like, no way, you fucking figured it out. There's this fucking mad rush to the fucking soda machine. Everybody trying to fucking get this thing down. And nobody could get the timing down just right. And it was like, wow. I was like, it was like Sword in the Stone. I was like fucking King Arthur. Like I finally fucking figured out this machine. And maybe like a week would go by or whatever, and some older kid would be like, hey, come here, can you help me like get more than one soda? Oh yeah, boom. No, isn't this theft? I didn't see it as that because the school was extremely expensive. I knew my parents were basically struggling to pay the fucking tuition, and I knew that they were overcharging for the soda in itself. It was like, that's not how much soda costs. Why are you charging so much for it? But and it's kind of one of those things. If you're a really good customer, sometimes you get a little bit of a benefit here. Now, I considered it different. I knew other kids who got in trouble. One time they got into the concessions of that, and I never did that. I knew that was theft. But this was like a chance game. And if it's going to be a game, it's like if you're going to put a slot machine up there and I can win the slot machine, is that theft? Is that theft? I understand if I go into the bank or the casino vault or whatever and steal that. I get that. That's theft. But this is like, at the time. Really? Yeah. It was like, look, if you're going to have a shitty ass machine and I learn how to get around it, and it's not like I'm stealing all the soda. It's just like I'm stealing a small amount. Is it even theft? That's the thing. Is it even theft? It didn't say one can per 50 cents. No, it was just like boom, boom, boom. Did it even have a thing on it for 50 cents? It didn't say one can per 50 cents. It might just say 50 cents. Take as much as you fucking want. It didn't say it. It wasn't specific. And I remember, I became the man there. And there might have been some kids who could figure out this machine every once in a blue moon or something, but not as well as I could. And I would just, okay. To the point where like people would come up and ask me to do it for them. And I remember being like, I wonder if I could get 3 of once. And I one day go up there, boom, boom, and I fucking take my whole arm and just boom, like all at once, and boom, 3 come down. I'm like, no way. I wonder if I could fucking get 4. Put the 50 cents in, boom, like hit a whole bunch. And maybe I wouldn't get 4, maybe, but I remember these things would fucking come down like, boom, and I'd be like, no fucking way. So I got to the point where I remember the athletic director who fucking stocked this thing was around. And I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. It was like, hey, you want to put a fucking slot machine here and I win it? Is that my fault? That's kind of on you, dog. And he was there, and I just very innocently just go up, put my 50 cents in, and boom, 2 come down. And he's like, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah, what up, dog? And he's like, you just got 2 sodas. And I'm like, yeah, I did, because this machine sucks. And he's like, is that is that the moral thing to do? And I'm like, Doug, I don't fucking know morality. This is a fucking commercial exchange. It says 50 cents. It doesn't say one soda for 50 cents. It's like, I've never even seen this kind of machine before. I was really like thinking it was innocent. And it was so innocent that I did it right in front of him, thinking like, this is fine. Like, boom. Really? Doug, have a machine from this fucking decade. It wasn't, this machine was from the 70s and this was in the late 90s. So, I mean, and he's like, well, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, get a new motherfucker. Once he said that, I don't think I did it anymore. Really? No. And I remember two of my friends got caught in the candy. You were not supposed to get in the candy. And they got into the, I don't know, like the room to the candy was locked and they got into it somehow. And they got in trouble for that. And so it was like, okay, like hitting the fucking thing twice, and that was fine, and everybody was doing it. That was another thing too. Everybody was doing it. If everybody jumped off a bridge, would you? How high is the bridge? What are the repercussions? If I jump off the bridge and it's like 3 feet off the ground, yeah, might be a fucking shortcut. Maybe there's no water. It's just 3 feet down. Whatever. There are bridges like that. And this situation was like, look, what are you going to do? If you say to me that you're not allowed to get the soda, then anyway, this fucking school was just a fucked up place. Really? It was really unique. That's all I can really say. But there was this boys' bathroom. No urinals in this whole fucking school. I remember thinking, like, there are no urinals in this fucking school? No urinals, but more sinks than you could fucking count. And this bathroom had like, I don't know, 100 boys who had to use it in the morning. And it was just fucking so much BO and farts. It was just BO and farts and just adolescent male testosterone. And there were this bathroom had 2 stalls and it had 2 sinks, and it was as big as, I mean, like not even close to ADA. Nothing. You could not, if you were in a wheelchair, you could not turn in this fucking nothing. And it was never cleaned. It was just like you were on your own. Fortunately, there was toilet paper, which I think they did a pretty good job with. But just, I'm a toilet paper expert, by the way. Really, yeah, but we won't go into that. And even though you don't shit, yeah, I'm still an expert. What do you want me to do about it? So these 2 stalls, and it was just adolescent piss and perhaps calm and shit just everywhere. There were loogies on the fucking ceiling from the Reagan administration. I mean, it was just really, dog. Some guy snot rocket and just boom on the fucking mirror and be there for the rest of the fucking year until we all had to go around and clean the school. It was just some guy would go boom on the fucking ceiling. Just why? Because there wasn't a lot of respect for the building. Respect for the students, yeah, but for the building, we were all just like, did I tell you about this fucking stairwell? We'll get into it. So there are these stalls and the sinks, and I mean, I just remember having to go to the bathroom, and it's like, dude, there are like 6 people in line for this bathroom, and you can't even go in the fucking door. And I mean, like, just you open the door and it'd be like kids getting school. Like when I saw how actual schools worked, I'd be like, you mean you could like come in here with a fucking wheelchair, or like you could go like this and not hit both ends of the wall? I mean, it was a house that was turned into a school. But this bathroom was the epicenter of BO, poop, piss, cum, sweat, just everything. Anyway, did I tell you about the stairwell? So what happened with the well, so I was kind of like the Fonz at this school that I could just go boom. Like the Fonz used to be able to go boom and hit a jukebox and it would just play. I would just be able to boom and the soda would just fucking rain down. Really? Yeah. And then the next year they got a different soda machine that were bottles and and did I get another uh concession machine or vending machine? I think they did. They got new everything and all the prices went up. And I don't think I bought too much more out of it. But back when the old days of this school, when everything was cheap, that's how I can remember. Kid would just be fucking like really frustrated with school and would just get a soda, take it, drink half of it, throw it across the fucking, what do we call it? The locker room, and like hit the side of the fucking wall, and it maybe went in the trash can, maybe it didn't. There was no recycling at this school. None. No recycling. You had to be like, recycling's a thing, and they'd be like, huh? Really? There was no recycling. Everything went in the trash. Really? No recycling. And that was just how recycling wasn't a big thing yet. Anyway, there would be soda spray on the wall for the next 4 years until one kid during that cleanup time would go and clean that up. There was this one part of this right by the bathrooms where you could put your legs up and like climb way high in the air and then like hold yourself up like this, and people would just walk underneath your legs, like, and you'd be like 15, 20 feet in the air. There was always this thing, people wanted to go in the like attic of the school, which had like a ladder system. And perhaps you can see my old chicken scratch up there somehow, some way. And then like teachers would walk below, and they'd be like right below you, and you'd have to be quiet. It's just a fuck up school. Anyway, did I talk about the stairwell yet? So boys and girls were separate for as much as could be, which was unlike anywhere of a normal school that isn't like a religious school. But this was a religious school, and so boys and girls were separate. And again, we didn't have a lot of interaction with really any women, except for like a kid's mom. Really, yeah, but nobody else really. Maybe an administrator or something, but like the office lady or something like that. But so we're all about boys, and there were a few smells. The amount of BO after we would play football, I can remember the male teachers come in like this, like, you guys got to start wearing deodorant. And we we were wearing deodorant, but we were just sweaty, so sweaty, just wiping your head, and it's just dripping. And we would only get 20 minutes to play. Oh, I wanted to say this. So as a little kid, I remember my mom asking. So before I went there, I asked my mom, "Do they have a football team?" And she said, "No, it's not that kind of school, but they do play football at recess, which is all I cared about, and the teachers play, which was totally unique. Still think it's very unique. And we'd have all of the seventh graders, which is like 60 kids, something like 60. No, not that much. 30 kids, 40 kids, I don't know, a lot. And then as the grades got older, fewer and fewer kids. And then seventh and eighth graders would play each other. with some teachers, and then junior and seniors would play sophomore and freshman. But usually, once you got that old, they weren't playing too many sports anyway. But we'd have like these armies of kids that would just get seventh. The difference between a seventh grade boy and an eighth grade boy is big, and just getting trashed. And I remember always wanting the ball, and I might have only gotten my seventh grade year like a dozen, not even. You just wouldn't get the ball thrown to you that much if you're a little kid. So I'd be a blocker, and then I'd rush people. And I remember fucking it was two hand tap, and I'd fucking sack guys, and they wouldn't know. It would just be like a barely a touch, and it'd be like, does that really count? Yeah, it should. Anyway, but if a kid got a sack, he'd come in fucking cock of the walk kind of deal, especially if they were little. And but as I got older, I always wanted to touch the ball, and it was like, remember the teacher would come out, we have the ball, and be like, "This is a big fucking deal." And then, fortunately, my family got a ball, and I kept this ball. I still think I probably have. It's one of the infusion ones that would blow itself up, and I took this fucking ball everywhere. That was the thing. I'll say this. I gotta end this fucking story. Did I tell you about the stairwell yet? Anyway, these kids, my friends of our family, my family never had any fucking balls. But this family had everything. And this is how you need to be, Israel. Have a soccer ball in your car, a basketball in your car, a football in your car, like a baseball bat, a wiffle ball bat. They had all kinds of shit in their car. And whenever we went anywhere, we go to a park or whatever, they always had balls, and they always had something. You want to be that family. Having a ball will make your kid cool. And I really mean that. And I had a ball. That's not why it was cool. But so we took this ball everywhere, and people would be like, "Where's the ball?" I'd be like, "Oh, you want to? Yeah, we need the ball. Come on, let's play." And we'd be throwing the ball around and whatever. And as I got older, then I became the quarterback for our recess team. Nothing major. But then we'd play the little kids, and I was like I eventually became that position that I always wanted to be, the guy who got to touch the ball a lot and throw the ball a lot. And I'll tell a quick story. And this is like a real, I don't know, it still affects me. So we play against the younger kids. We usually play against the kids the year younger than we were. And that's how we got to know them and become friends with them. And there was like an open field, and then the end zone. You ask anybody who ever went to the school, they will tell you there was no like real back of the end zone. It was just like there were trees, and you kind of just you didn't want to go that far. But like the end zone was like basically the field went like this, and then once you got up the incline a little bit, that became the end zone. But the end zones were really big. And I had this friend of mine who was a different kind of kid, just kind of into some things that not all of us were into. And he was good at catching the ball though, and so he kind of became a guy who I had this chemistry with him, where he would go in the back of that end zone, and I could throw the ball to him, and he would catch it. And I remember he'd catch it like this. There were a couple kids. A couple kids would catch like this. You're supposed to catch like catch like this. And this one time he ran a cross pattern, and I threw this ball, and as he ran a cross pattern, he slammed right into this fucking tree. And I don't mean face first, I mean head first. And I remember we all stood around him, and he was out cold. And we're like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, his eyes opened, and we're like, "Okay, well, are you all right? Come on, get up, dude, let's play." And he wasn't getting up. And we're like, "Come on, man, like, let's play, come on." And he was out for like 5 minutes, which is a long period of time to be out under these circumstances, because every moment of being able to play was so big. We'd fucking eat like this just to get outside. I remember I would just sadly, like not even eat my lunch and just fucking. I throw my lunch in the trash, and teachers would be like, "Hey, why are you throwing that out?" And they fucking eat it. I'd be like, "It's time to play football." Anyway, this kid was out, and we all surrounded him, and like, "Hey, dude, are you okay?" He's just out, and he eventually got up and just kind of like walked into the school or whatever, but it wasn't bloody or anything. And the next day comes, and I remember he was like, I've had a headache all day. And we're like, why do you have a headache, dude? Quit being a pussy. Like, we were just totally forgot about what happened. And the kids who hear me say it still remember it. The kids who were there, and they'll be like, that's right, he did say he had a headache. And this hitting the tree changed his personality forever. And he went into different things. He went into he went from he got really into kind of like Nirvana and goth, but like pink, like very much into Hot Topic. He loved that shit. And he was never like this before I threw this ball and he fucking hit his head. And we would, and like people who hear me say this, like, that's right, he did hit his head. Meaning he had this huge lump, like a huge lump on his head. He had thick hair, but underneath his hair, he had just a giant lump, and he would just kept complaining about having a headache for like a week. And I don't blame myself, because this is, anybody who knows the field that we plant, there's just like one tree, and he just ran this crossing pattern, and he just fucking nailed this tree so hard. And I don't blame myself. I don't think it would be right to, but I think about it that this incident hurt, like changed this kid's personality completely. And he got into all kinds of different things. Like, I've never known of a head injury, which is what he had. I'll imagine he had a pretty bad concussion, but back then nobody paid attention to concussions. CTE wasn't a thing. Ask anybody. It was just not a thing. That only became big like in the 2010s. But this kid hit this fucking tree, and no protection, nothing. But it wasn't bloody, so we weren't like too concerned. We're like, oh, walk it off, you'll be fine. But this changed his fucking personality forever, to the point where, like, last I heard about this kid, he would ride a bike to the Colorado mountains, the Colorado Rocky, or the Rocky Mountains, and all he would do, somehow he had a mason jar of LSD, and he would just trip for thousands of miles of bike riding, and he would just go back and forth. I was just like the most fucked up thing. And this kid's person, he was never like that before he hit his head on this tree. It really changed his personality. Anyway, did I tell you about that fucking stairwell? All right, we'll get into it. So you were like the Fonz. I was like the Fonz. I could hit the fucking thing, and I always had the football. So it was like, we didn't really have jocks, really. I was never academically eligible to we didn't have a quarterback, but like even to play sports, but you could play at recess, and recess is the best. I fucking love recess so much. I still love recess. Really, it's the best. Anyway, so let's talk about this fucking stairwell. All right, so the stairs, there's like a hump. There's like one stair, like a plateau, and like you're looking, and it's like a poor man's fucking bully game, or like poor man's Dead Poet Society. And then there's another step. There are no fucking ramps. Well, there is a ramp, but it's like fucking, Lieutenant Dan in the fucking New Year's. Really, it's just like that. So, okay, so there's a plateau, and then another ramp. And then there's like, what do you call those things? There's like tracks, like these metal tracks. Once you get in there, the stairs get really slippery, and there's like this metal. You're gonna love the minutia of this fucking story. There's like this metal stair edge Then again, if you fucking step on it, your fucking knees just be like scalped. Really? Oh, is there fucking like flayed? Really? Yeah. And but it's just and there's like stairs down and stairs up, and
He wanders into Philistine territory. Wanders into Philistine territory all by himself.
this one day, you're with all the boys and you're like, okay, cool, whatever. We'll take them central stairwell for whatever reason. Not taking the boys stairwell. Certainly never take the girls there. Really? I remember like there were parts of the school I did not um perhaps I never was in. Really? Yeah. There were always parts of the school that we wanted to go in, but we weren't allowed to. It was really an interesting place. Even the what do we call the faculty lounge? We always wondered what was on the side of the faculty lounge. We always figured it was like wanted signs or like fucking how to teach sign. We never knew. And then when we graduated, we poked our head in. It was just like a normal wall. But we were always fascinated where the areas we couldn't go. Anyway, there's this fucking central stairwell. And then like there's that fucking yearbook room, which with all the beds, it looks like a triage unit. We never fucking figured that one out. I think the only time I ever went in there, there was another house like on the grounds of the school that are like it's like complicated, but there's a house that the school purchased as I got older, and it was in the front yard of the school. We were playing football. Somebody threw me the ball, and I went to catch it, and the like lawn of the school just had a random fucking divot ditch thing, and I fucking turned my ankle in this thing, and I thought I broke my ankle. I did not, but it was a big deal. We had to call my mom, and they put me in that fucking triage room. I think that's the only time I was ever in there. And my fucking ankle was very swollen. My left ankle was not broken though. It was very close to broken though. Anyway, one of the worst pains of my life, but not even close to it. Fucking multiple spinal taps. Anyway, we'll get into that some other time. Did we talk about this fucking stairwell yet? So there's this fucking checkerboard tile that was like whatever, and there's fucking this edge. I'm probably like, why are you telling us this? There's absolutely no reason, but I want you to picture it. And so there's the stairs go down to go into like the lower level of the school, and then you go up, and then it's like the front office, and then there's another level, and that's like there's like a mezzanine floor, like the first floor or something, whatever you consider it. Not the ground floor though. There wasn't really a ground floor, which doesn't make any fucking sense, but whatever. There's like a lower level, and then like a lower level. It was just fucked up. But it wasn't like a basement. It was like just a, it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Anyway, so the front office, and then there's another level up, and then like a plateau, and another level up, and then that's you get to the, I think we called it the third floor. There's the first floor, second floor, and I think we called it the third floor, but it technically wasn't. Anyway, so and as you would look out the windows of the school, there would be like areas of the building that you'd never been in. Ask anybody who like wasn't really familiar with it. There'd be areas of the building that you with which you weren't familiar, and you'd be like, what the fuck's going on there? And years would go by, and you would never ever get the chance to see what was in there. Though there was one time, I won't go into it now, where we got to explore that part of the school, and it was super nice. We thought it was super nice. It was really nice, but it was like a real mansion. It was like, oh, this is fucking bully, or whatever. Dead Poet Society. Like this was really nice, with like fucking crown molding and fucking wooden floors and like marble, and it was like, oh, this is the nice part. But we never ever really got to go in there. Anyway, like chandeliers and shit. And like as the school got bigger, different parts of the building would be open to us. It was very weird. But this main stairwell, this is an OG. So we got go down, go up, then up, plateau, and then up 3 floors. And
she realizes he's on a rescue mission. She takes her spindle and she throws it at Abishai in an effort to kill him.
kids,
So she misses him.
they say that the sense most tied to memory is smell. And I believe that. Sometimes I'll get a random smell and I'll be like, and it'll take me back just for a moment, maybe fleeting, but it'll take me back. I'll smell something and it'll be. And there was one day, kids, that I still, it's like it was yesterday. It's like I have flashbacks of it. So we go from like the lower floor, or the ground floor, whatever you want to consider, the first floor. And I'm with my friends or whatever. We're just, I say friends, with my schoolmates, and we're walking near this central stairwell, and some of the older kids are there, and we kind of like merge. And as we're all going to the top stairs, to the top, we had to go to the third floor. You ever seen a cartoon where they like tried to show what a smell looks like, and they like have the smell like that goes through like this, and then up the fucking nose? That's like the best way I could like describe this. Did we talk about this stairwell? So as we approach the stairwell, this like fucking smell goes like right up the fucking nose. And it was like, what in the fuck is that? So again, why did David say the name to suspend himself? And some of the older kids are like, what in the fuck is that? And they're like, oh my god, can you believe, oh my word, can you believe it? Can you believe it? And they're like older, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And even some of the kids in my grade are like, can you believe that just happened? Can you believe that just happened? Now, I can tell you, I smelled every fucking smell from this fucking school. Every kind of fart, the loudest of farts. Kids, I had this one fucking fart one time, allegedly. I'll even talk about it. That's how good it was. I don't know what it was. It was the absolute best fart in the history of farts, though. I can just say this. You ask anybody from my class, they will say, they'll remember where they were. They'll be like, oh, we have to sit down for this one. It's like one of those things, like a Dateline where it's 60 minutes. We got to sit down for this one. And they'll all tell you exactly. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I had something. I don't know what it was. But to this day, I've never had a fart like this before. Or like a day where I had like this. It was like I had a Boilermaker in my fucking stomach or some shit. Not the drink, just like literally a boiler. Like, this school had no air conditioning. They had like individual air conditioning. It was everything. I just remember there were such bad smells. There was ginkgo, and there's BO and sweat, and sometimes like spoiled food, old milk, like all kinds of just things, and sometimes vomit. Kids, anyway. And I remember my one friend one time brought in a stink bomb and put it in the locker room, and it cleared out the locker room. And that was very pungent, like rotten eggs, like sulfur. And I remember the dean of boys comes in and he's looking around and trying to figure out who did it. I remember watching this thing break. Like somebody kicked it into the fucking locker and it shattered and we all fucking ran. I remember that. And it just stunk really, really badly. They had to open up all the fucking windows. I can remember teachers. The school would smell so bad after we came in, after playing football, all sweaty. They would take the door and go like this, and just try to wave out some of the fucking smell. It would, and when you're a young guy, like you're just fucking full of hormones and adrenaline and stuff. And like we'd smell farts, every kind of fart, farts in the stairwell, farts in the hallway, farts in the school, farts in the room. Like I had this thing with these Doc Martens. I could go like this, and I'd make people think that I was farting, and became cool to be like a farter. Like if you're a good farter, like that would be a really good one. Anyway, why? Because it was just funny. And whenever anybody did anything, they have to go like this. Like some kids couldn't take it. And this one day, I had the worst fucking gas. Not because I had to fart so much, but the smell was unlike. It was like a sweet potency that has never been emulated in the history of humankind ever since. Nor have I had it previously. It was sweet pungence. That's the best way I can describe it. So the first, and the other thing is, you never, or you did absolutely, you like do everything you could to not fart on the way to school. So you save it all up till you got to school, just because you didn't. You're like in a an enclosed place with people. And once you got to school, especially when you got in to the locker room with all the boys, you just fucking let farts out. Oh, you, and then they fucking people like that's the thing. People would throw punches, but it wasn't like nobody was getting into real fights. Like that just wasn't a thing. People wrestled, people fucking punch in the arm till you were bruised on the arm or whatever. But nobody was doing anything to really hurt anybody. And um the smell. So this one day I was in high school. I want to say I was in a sophomore in high school. And we had like the first class, we had like upstairs, I don't know what it was. I had to fucking fart. And I farted allegedly, and it was silent but deadly. And everyone who was within like a few meters of me, like they knew, and they were like, dude, what the fuck is that? They like knew, like I was the man for that shit. But they're like, dude, that's like the worst fucking smell we've ever smelled. And I'm like, I know. They're like, no, you don't realize we've had fucking stink bombs go off. We're nearly like that. I mean, it was like making kids tear up. Like, and then the fucking bell would ring and it'd be like you're sitting there and you're like sitting in the swamp gas. It was just, and I was like, oh, this is a good one. So then the second class comes by. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking let this bitch rip. And I do. And the thing is, when somebody would let it rip, the fucking sometimes it'd be loud, like, like the vibration of your ass cheeks on the fucking. I still remember that on the fucking desk, like on the seat of the desk or a chair or something. Like it was just like a boom, like a like a rhythmic instrument almost. Anyway, it was like the drum head, like bow, bow. Anyway, I do this in the second hour, and the kids are like, "Dude, that is the that is the absolute fucking worst smell we've ever smelled in our entire lives. Like that's worse than anything you've ever put out before. That's a new flavor. This motherfucker's changing flavors." And I mean, it was tremendous. It was. There were kids who were talking about it like what the fuck happened? Like, it was knocking kids into new dimensions. And the teacher would come in and they'd be like, oh, what? Opening up the fucking window. It's just, and I was like, this is amazing. This fucking formula that I got going in here is, this is fucking like rice and gas. This shit is like Agent Orange. So I'm like, man, this is good shit. And these kids come up to me and they're like, if you fucking fart again, like we understand normal farts, but that is not normal. They're like, you need to see a doctor. I'm like, look, I ain't going anywhere. They're like, if you fart again like that, we wouldn't normally do this, but we are going to gang beat you. I was like, do whatever you gotta do, baby. But I do me, baby. They're like, no, seriously. Like, you did it before. You know that you could go to the bathroom. You decide to do it in the middle of the center of this small classroom so that we can't breathe. You know that there are no fans. There's no air conditioning. That's gonna help. There's no fucking Febreze, nothing like that. I don't even know if Febreze was a thing. Nothing. You're gonna, if I do this at fucking 9-10 in the morning, you're gonna be smelling that shit until 9:59 until you get the fuck into the next classroom. Really? Yeah, that's how. Is that how it worked? Actually, usually though, it wouldn't be. We stayed in the same classroom, and the teachers rotated, which is a better way to do it than having the homeroom or whatever. Just have the teachers rotate. It's a better way to do it. Anyway, why move 30 fucking? I mean, in our case, it was like 13 boys, but why move 13 boys when you can just remove one teacher? Anyway, there'd be one kid in the fucking corner just like rocking back and forth. It's like welling up. He'd be like, "Are you okay?" He'd be like, "What is that smell?" Be like, "I know." Remember, I was talking about like when a smell like wafts and goes like, whoop, right into the fucking. Now, this wasn't like the loudest fart I've ever had, allegedly, or the funny. It was the worst smell in the history of smells. I can still tell you to this day, I have smelled maybe thousands of different farts, perhaps of my own, but other people's, everybody's farts. There's been nothing before like this, nor nothing after. It was truthfully the most unique concoction in the history of smells. It was sweet. Yet powerful. Powerful yet sweet. I don't know how to describe it. Did I tell you guys about this stairwell? Anyway, we'll get to it. So, it's like second period, and I'm like, well, I mean, these guys said they're gonna gang beat me, and nobody wants that. And they were like, they wouldn't normally like gang up on me because I could hold my own, but like I understood. I'd be like, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would be like, dog, you're our friend, but we're gonna beat the living shit out of you if you fucking do this again. I would. That's what I would say. So the third period comes by, and I'm just sitting there smirking, and the kids are like, "Oh shit, he's gonna do it again," and they're like bracing themselves for this. Like the whole fucking 13 boys are just like, and the teacher's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "He's gonna gas us." Really? Yeah, Gaseous Maximus. That's what my nickname was. Really? No, I was George. It was everything, baby. Sexiest motherfucker of all time. Anyway, they were like, "He's gonna gas us." Really? Like a fucking chamber, folks. And I mean, this shit was like the Zyklon B of flatulence. It was deadly. So third period goes by, nothing. But I knew I had to. Then lunch and recess. I think we got 30 minutes for lunch and recess, and we'd spend 10 minutes at lunch and 20 minutes at recess, and then we had to be back in the school. And we had to be like in our seats and like with 5 minutes to go or something. I'll never forget I was in physics class, which was 10th grade, and there were two. Like, can you see? I'll fucking line this up for you. All right, so imagine. Oh, you can't see. Okay, here. So there's two lines of tables and a board. If you ever were in trouble, the punishment they wouldn't. They put a dot on the board, draw a circle around it, and then if you stare at the circle long enough, it would go away. It was in 15-minute, 30-minute, or 45-minute increments. The worst punishment you could get was a double 45 before getting a suspension or something like that. That like nobody ever had. Anyway, the two there were two rows, and my seat was in the back row. And I remember like really having a fucking fart after lunch. And these kids, the teacher was like in the front left corner of the class, which is opposite of where I was. And then there was like this open area to my right. So like, how would you describe it? Can you do it like this? Okay, imagine a line of okay, how would you do it up here? Okay, the chalkboard's up here. The door is like here. There's like two lines of desks like here and then here. They're just tables with chairs. So the teacher is up by the whiteboard or chalkboard or whatever, talking with some other students over here. And I don't know if this is exactly when I did this, but the Heisenberg uncertainty principle has always been something that like really interests me. And I didn't know that's what it was called, but I knew I needed an excuse to go talk to the teacher over here. And my seat was like over here in these two rows. And then over here, there's like all kinds of science equipment. And so I get up and I go to talk to the teacher, and I go like stand up and go to talk to him. Like the class is going on, but like the teacher was kind of doing some like, I remember the two kids he was talking to, and I go up to them and I say to him, is it possible to know the location and speed of a particle? Because if we do, wouldn't you be able to predict the future? He's like, well, you can only know one of them. You can't know both of them. And that to me was bothersome. And I understand, but I think there are ways around it. But I was really just bullshitting to get myself an opportunity to be at the very corner of this room. And that became the epicenter of the biggest bomb since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I walked from there through the double desk of chairs. I went around back. I did a figure eight. So like this. Wait. It's the opposite of what I'm doing here. So it's like this. No, it's like. And I remember there weren't a lot of people where I was sitting because I had a friend of mine, my very good friend from all of school, who had just left the school to go to another school because of sports. And so he was normally the one who'd sit next to me, and I just remember this part of my life where I was just felt alone, not completely alone, but just like I was still in shock that that had happened, and perhaps this, but that didn't really affect this. I'm just saying, like that's why there weren't any kids there, like right next to me, but there was a kid. The next closest kid to me was like towards the center of the room, and I remember having done this figure eight, and I look at this kid. I'll never forget. And he was just, it was his side profile. And he was just staring dead forward. This kid would stare just dead forward into the fucking. I'm telling you, kids, if you've ever seen, what is it called? Back in World War One, it was called shell shock, and then it was called, like post traumatic stress disorder. It's had different names, but it was like bunker trauma, whatever. It was like this kid had the thousand, I think it's 1,000 yard stare, but this kid had 1,000 mile stare. Normally, he'd be like, "Hey," and he'd be like, he just was out of it, and you'd be like, "Dog, you've been staring at the fucking wall for 45 minutes. What is it?" And I had to stand next to this because he and I had similar names throughout like all our school. And this kid, I remember I saw his side profile like this, and this caused him to turn his head. And it was like he was the first person to know. And the whole class was still doing their own thing. Kids are writing, other kids are asking the teacher. And I just go up and ask, "Can you know where? Couldn't you predict the future if you knew where the location of a particle was and the speed?" And then I like didn't even care about the answer, and I just fucking do my little figure eight. And I go, so it'd be on this side. I go all the way to where all the science equipment is, to the very corner of the room, and I'm fucking like, I'm ready. I'm fucking ready. And I'll never forget the look on these kids' faces. They start, I don't know what the first word was, but it would be like, I just remember, let's get him. And there's a teacher there who was like at the fucking epicenter of this thing and didn't even know it. It's like, I think there's a thing like with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like where the actual bomb like hit, it was like there are still buildings in that area. It's like they were right at the fucking epicenter of this thing. And I fucking went, and I literally went as far from that. They were in the front left of the classroom, and I went all the way to the back right. And I just fucking sat there like, all right, you motherfuckers, I'm taking on the whole fucking class. And 13 boys got up and in a unified sense came running at me in the heat of this pungency, this sweet pungency was everywhere. And they knew, and I knew the rules. I knew they were like, we are going to gang fight you if you do this again. And I knew it. And I knew it. And I know it was like, dog, I know it. I guess that's what's going to happen. Let's roll. And there's this thing I always used to say. What would I say? It was from Cypher. You want a piece of me? I would always say, you want a piece of me? Really? Yeah. And they wanted a piece of me that day. And they fucking all got up. And they fucking were coming at me with fucking fists. And I remember looking at the teacher. Like, you're just going to let 13 people fucking attack me like a horde of Mongols? And he absolutely was going to. This motherfucker has a doctorate. He could have lost his position. but nobody's gonna take it from this smell. He would have just been able to be like, dog, I'm gonna fucking test this fucking smell. It was so. I remember he was just in shock. He was like, "What is that?" And I remember just being like, "It was like it was like napalm. It was like Zyklon B. It was like Agent Orange combined. If you could combine that and put it up my asshole, that's what it was like. It was like the most pungent fart in the history of farts. And I've told this story a few times on the stream over the last 4 years or so. And every time I tell it, I've maintained the accuracy of how bad this motherfucking thing smelled. It was. Have you ever seen Jupiter with like a back in my day, it had like the great red spot, and it's like a bunch of fucking gases that are just kind of like going around each other, or like Saturn with that fucking hexagon at the top, but it's like gases that are just like going like this. That's what I imagine my stomach looked like. And that great red spot was like my asshole. It wasn't, but it just that's what I imagine. It was like, do you know what chicken paprikash looks like? It's just like a kind of looks like Jupiter, kind of like a mishmash of shit. Anyway, I remember just blocking these blows. They never got to my, you wouldn't punch in the face, but I just blocked them. And then I remember thinking to myself, dude, the teacher isn't like stopping. He's literally letting a dozen plus people fuck me up. And but it was like I was able to like defend myself in front of all these dudes, and they all were like, they came at me like this, so maybe they weren't as well ventilated as they could be. But I remember sitting there, like standing there, like there was like this thing we'd have with like a strobe light, and it was like a car, and it was supposed to be frictionless. That was there, and these fucking levels were there. I mean, I still remember it very well. Anyway, did I tell you about that stairwell? So that was the worst fart in the history of. I remember the teacher was like, "Go to the bathroom." I was like, "But I don't have to go to the bathroom. It's just really, yeah." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Let's just fucking walk around." Um, You ask any of these kids, ask all 13 of them, they will absolutely, every single one of them will remember exactly where they were. And they'll be like, yeah, I was there. And I still think about that being the worst fart, worst smell, worst smell in the history of smells. I remember it was sweet pungence. That's all I can describe it as. It was, and I've never had anything like that ever since. And I don't know what it is. If you're like, oh, what was it? I don't know. I'm very consistent, as you can see. I eat the same shit. I do the same things generally, and I was very consistent then, as best as I could be. But I don't know what it was. But it was like that.
Were able to abstain from frivolous laughter, frivolous chatter, sleep, and were even able to restrain their bodily needs because they were in the presence of the king. If they could do all of those things in the presence of a human king, then Allah has come on the camel.
Meconium? I don't know what that smells like, but it was like, it was different than that. But you know how meconium is like a different kind of shit? It's like a baby's first poop. This was a different kind of fart, but it wasn't meconium fart. It was sweet pungence. I don't know how else to describe it. And that's the thing. If you ask them and they were really truthful, they would say it wasn't like eggs, it wasn't like sulfur, it wasn't like poop. There was a certain sugar to it, like a certain sweetness to it. Like, but hot. They wouldn't be like, it would be like if you took hot sauce and like cotton candy. It was like there was a certain sweetness to it that was just, you know how like in the cartoons they have like the fucking smell that goes like into somebody's nose. That's what I did. I got all these motherfuckers. I was so proud. I remember sitting there. That was the funny thing. I fucking do the figure eight and I go in the corner and they all fucking turn and they're like, no, that's what, no. I remember that's what the word they said. No. Like, no. Let's get him. I mean, it was just like that. No. That's what it was. I think they just said, no. Like, no, you motherfucker. Oh, it was the worst. Okay. I mean, there's nothing more to it than that. I remember I think they told me to go to the bathroom and I fucking, but I remember the teacher being like, that is such a bad fart. I'm going to let these fuckers wail on this kid for a little while. But I defended myself. I did not take any punches. Really? Yeah. Anyway, is that the end of your story? No. Did I tell you about this fucking stairwell? All right. So, I had like checker tile that had no wax, so you're not supposed to wax tile on stairs. But it's oh, LBT's luxury vinyl tile.
Says that the name that they established for themselves was even greater than potential physical offspring. So it makes sense they had no physical offspring.
All I know is that I think there's a certain, like your standard tile size is like 16 or 12 inches, but if it's 9 inches, that is fucking asbestos usually. All right. Luxury vinyl plank. No, it's luxury vinyl tile, but no. I thought it was there's no linoleum.
That's called Sefer Daniel, because ultimately, again, Sefer Daniel is named, obviously, again, by or for Daniel. Michti, somewhere asks a general question. It's not that I know that Sefer Daniel was named for Daniel. Somewhere asks an interesting question. Michti, Kalmudi de Ezra Nechemia ben Chachas, Kalmudi de Ezra, Nechemia ben Chachaya Amridu. So interesting enough, the Gemara says pretty much all of the words, so I want to point out, Rashi points this out, in our Tanakh, right, we have Sfarim, Ezra, and Nechemia. In reality, it's really only one sefer called Ezra. It was divided out later on. Somewhere says something very interesting. Most of Sefer Ezra was actually prophesied by Nehemiah, said by Nehemiah. So if that's the case, why is it called Ezra, not Nehemiah? So which is my time about Sefer Al
Anyway,
why was it not called Sefer Nehemiah?
Actually, this was not LVP or LVT. This was linoleum. It had a fucking smooth surface. It did not have a dimpled surface. This was smooth, but anyway. So it was linoleum? Yeah. Anyway, it was checkered, and then there was this ridge that was metal, and it could get really, really slippery in this area. So remember I was talking about there was this stairs. You walk into the school, it's like step up and then another step up, and then you can either go down. If you go down, the classroom where I ripped ass and the epicenter was like right ahead. You could actually see it from the doorway. And then if you go up, that's how you go up, and then there's like the main office, and then okay. So I got a taste of not my own medicine, but so I remember, I want to say I was maybe 8th grade, something like that. And we're about to go up this central stairway. Did I tell you about this central stairwell? So there were like some older kids who were going up first. We were kind of following them. And I hear from above these older kids. Did you ever see that Seinfeld where? Okay, so when these kids smelled my fart, it was like that Seinfeld where Frank serves he's got the Jewish.
Can't speak negatively about Jews. You just can't. Even if what you're saying is true, even if a point has to be made, a point has to somehow be made. Always holding up the same
Matchmaking event.
Never has to show deconstructing the other. So therefore, nevertheless negatively spoke about Klal Yisrael. Therefore, he lost out having a sefer named him. Gemara said furthermore, he even spoke negatively about Daniel.
I mean, I've gone this long. These aren't supposed to be 3 hours, but we covered Nida today. Nida?
I don't know that it was created in him. So the Gemara says,
Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Which one is it? It's whatever you want it to be. All right, so Frank Costanza when he's cooking in Korea.
Dad, what are you in an athletic sweatsuit? What are you doing here? Well, he came by to pick up his check for the banquet hall. You know, I got 100
Jewish singles.
responses. It's going to be a rager.
All right,
How are you going to cook Jewish delicacies for 183 people?
there you go. I have to talk over it though.
It's a lot of pumpkins.
Why? Because
You
you know I don't want to get a copyright strike.
I don't know anything about cooking.
He doesn't know anything about cooking.
What's the matter with you? My dad was a cook during the Korean War.
Korea kids.
Something very bad happened.
Grandfather was from Korea. Really?
Since
Yeah.
you can't get a mirror kitchen. So
Really?
shocked.
Some
Oh,
shit
yeah.
like that.
But that has nothing
Isn't
to
that
do
air
with
flight? Really? Uh-huh.
Frank,
Something
I
like
need
that.
you. The war was 50 years ago. In my mind, there's a war still going on.
When you ask
What happened, Frank?
when you ask these kids, this is the kind of response that they're gonna give you. Especially this one kid with the 1,000-yard stare.
What is it that you can't
Really?
get over?
Kid's working for the government. It's a contractor somewhere. But this smell, I bet it's still in their nasal
In
cavities.
Korea in 1950, I was the best cook Uncle Sam ever saw.
The minutia of my stories, that's where I get you girls.
Fighting 103rd.
Minutia.
As we marched north, the supply lines were getting thin. One day, a couple of GIs
I'm
found a
Mr.
crate
Minutia.
inside
I'm
was
Mr.
600
Big.
pounds of prime Texas steel. At least
Sexiest
it once was
motherfucker of all
mine.
time.
Used
We won't go
was
into
3
that
weeks
though.
past.
Why?
I was arrogant.
Obvious.
I was brash. I thought if I used just the right spices, long enough.
This smell, it was so sweet.
I went too
What the
far.
fuck happened here?
I overseasoned it.
What the fuck happened here?
Men were keeling over all around
This,
me.
except it wasn't
I could still
from
hear the
eating, but it was. The smell did this to people, kids. Really? I remember it like it was yesterday. That's the sound that they made when they
I
smelled
sent
this.
16 of my own men to the latrines that night.
13 of these motherfuckers came to fight me,
They were
and I
just
took them all
boys.
down. Really?
Frank, you were a
I
boy
defended
too.
myself very well.
And it was war. It was a crazy time for everyone.
It was wild
Tell
shit.
that to Bobby Colby. All that kid wanted to do was go home. Well, he went home all right. With a crater in his colon the size of a custard.
That's true.
Had to sit him on a cork the 18-hour
Absolutely.
flight home. Frank, listen to me. 200 Jewish singles need you. This is your chance to make it all right again. No. No, I'll never cook again. Never. Now get out of my house.
There you go. Is that the end of it?
Here's your omelet.
No. I love when he goes, "This sucks."
I always make.
I love how he says it.
Well, it sucks.
Well, it sucks. I love that.
What did you say?
I'm back, baby.
Meatloaf is mushy, your salmon croquettes are oily, and your eggplant parmesan is a disgrace to this house.
Well, that's too bad, because I'm the only one
Who do these two
cooks
people
around
remind
here.
you of?
Now,
Hi,
anymore?
parents.
Come here,
Really?
Spatula.
Yeah. George!
I'm back, baby!
They remind you of your parents in some
You
ways.
still need a cook? Oh, yeah. Come on, then, Frank. You got Tifa? No. Follow me.
I have to talk. Or I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Like hotcakes. Where's the Punisher? You know, Frank, you can take a break. No breaks. I feel reborn.
No breaks.
I'm like a phoenix rising.
Phoenix
Arizona.
rising. Flashbacks. Flashbacks, kids. They'll remember it. Ask any of them. I am sure of it. You're sure of it? Guaranteed. Guaranteed. They. I still remember them coming after me like a fucking Wild Wild West gang with their fucking shirts over their fucking noses, and I was just like, let's go, babies. Really? Yeah. You want a piece of me? I used to say that all the time, motherfuckers. You want a piece of me? Really? Yeah, because I'm the sickest motherfucker on earth. Anyway, did I tell you kids about this fucking stairwell? So anyway, there's like there's like sidewalk, and then there's like a landing. It's like fucking bully or poor man's Mr. Holland's open or a poor man's Dead Poet Society. Double doors. Then a ledge, fucking door tracks, and then there's this fucking linoleum tile. Pretty sure it's linoleum, nothing luxury about this, and it's fucking. It was like it was like checkerboard, like white, like not even white, not white. It's like was white, but now it's like super tan and fucking ugly teal. Worst colors ever. Anyway, if you go down the stairs, right there was the epicenter of where I did my ass raping. Really? Wouldn't call it that. Ass raping is like where you fuck somebody's ass. Nasal raping. That's not true either, but whatever. Just we'll consider that to be. David was greater than Chizkiyahu, and you didn't make David Mashiach. So the Gemara says, what do you call it? 0.0? No. Ground zero. That bitch was ground zero. And then you got the stairs that go up. There's the office, and then stairs. There's a plateau. There's a fucking window or something that had like frosted glass. You couldn't even fucking tell. But there's some part of the school you'd never been to. It was like a fucking maze. This school is like a fucking maze. And then the upstairs, and then okay. And kids, we were just, and the other thing is you'd have these fucking backpacks with so much fucking shit in them. And you'd have like all this fucking shit, flashcards and fucking 15 different books, and you're never gonna use them all. In fact, one time we all after school used to put our books down when we were waiting to go home, and I had a book bag that had like a fucking rubber bottom, looked like a tire on the bottom, and I put this backpack on. It was super super heavy, and I go home, and I don't fucking look at my schoolwork yet, and we get this call, and it's one of the teachers, and it turned out that I had taken their son's backpack, and they were like, oh, their backpack was really light, when I still thought it was fucking heavy as shit. And so my dad took me to go to this person's house so I could get the right backpack. But they were exactly the same kind of backpack. It's just anyway. And we got these like fucking rucksacks, like all these fucking books, and we're just fucking like turtles going up the stairs. But we didn't get to the stairs yet. Did I tell you about the central stairwell? Anyway, so we fucking walking, and I see the kids who are older than the boys who are older than I am, and they go up, and I just hear some of them just start saying like, no fucking way. And I'm like, what is going on? And they start pulling this move, and I'm like, what is going on? And then the kids around me are like, what is that? And I'm like, what do you? And then I get it. And then I get it. And then I got it. And then I knew what they were talking about. Kids. Have you ever smelled a fish hatchery? You may say, Rabbi, what are you talking about? Smelling a fish hatchery? We've never done something so much, something even close to that. And I'd say, I know. Well, I have. And that is the closest thing that I can describe to the smell that was going through my nose. And it remember like in the cartoons where the fucking smell goes and it goes like this? Well, and it goes. I remember being like, what in the fuck is that? It smells like a fucking fish hatchery. And we start going up the stairs and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It was like I was expecting to get to the top of the stairs and see somebody just filleting fucking salmon or like one of those fucking Japanese chefs with cutting into fucking tuna. Have you ever seen like when they get caviar?
We often think that we are the only ones, we being mankind, Klal Yisrael, are the only ones constantly and consistently pushing for Mashiach. Which you begin to see something
From sturgeons? You ever see when they get the caviar and they get like fucking, they like massage it? I mean, I would have expected to see somebody massaging a sturgeon at the top of the fucking stairs. I was like, what in the fuck? And as I got, I mean, I wasn't even at the fucking first plateau yet. We're at like the office like level, and I couldn't tell if it was worse there or if as I got higher from an altitude standpoint, if it got, I couldn't tell. I could just tell. It's like you were at a crossroads and both of them smelled like fish. And I mean, my class is on the third floor, so I gotta go fucking dive back into this motherfucking thing. And so as I go up the stairs and my feet are like touching that tile with that fucking metal ridge, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck happened in this stairwell? And the guys are fucking laughing. And it's like the higher these people go in the stairwell, the more that they're laughing. And I didn't really get it. And I get to that up the stairs to the last plateau before the top, and there's like the frosted glass and the fucking dusty ass windowsill and this little like linoleum plateau, and fucking it was as strong there as it was near the office. And I thought, what is this? It's only, this is like my second class of the day. What the fuck happened in here? And as I got to the top of the stairs, I really expected a Japanese tuna chef setup or sturgeon having caviar removed or someone filleting salmon. There was nothing. It was like it was any other day on that stairwell, except for this smell. And I still don't know necessarily what happened. We were asking the older kids, what is that? And they were laughing. And some of the kids in our class, I think, were laughing, but we still, to this day,
So
I don't know who it
the effort
was.
of a convert
I don't
cannot
necessarily know
disparage
exactly what
Gentiles
happened,
up to 10
but
generations. So we'll say this is just such a
I
fascinating
have my
idea. On
suspicions
one hand, when someone converts, what do we say? You're a new person. You're a new person. It's true that he's a new person.
that
Fascinating. Just because I'm a new person doesn't mean I don't
perhaps
have a past. Doesn't mean I don't have a
in
past.
that stairwell or somewhere near,
But only Jews can live in this world of contradictions. The Gemara says, be sensitive to the fact about what you say about Gentiles in front of converts. Because at the end of the day,
some
you
girl
came from that world. So if you're disparaging of that world, that person is going to feel like he's Yisrael.
became a young woman.
Yisrael left everything in order to come to Israel. He's a Gary. In other words, he circumcised all these things. But at the end of the day, that's the world he came from. And because of that, there was a sensitivity there.
And use
Gemara
that
says,
stairwell
be cognizant of that sensitivity. Fascinating.
as a route.
So Gemara says, "L'chein, yishalach Adon Hashem tzvakos v'mishmar Razon, ma'im mishmar Razon, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Yom Chizkiyahu, sheyish lo shmona shemos,
Of escape.
Let Chizkiyahu, I will say, remember, there's a lot of allusions. We're going to see more over here. This battle
Because
between Sanherib and Chizkiyahu. So let Chizkiyahu, who has 8
she had her
years,
first
let
period
him come and conquer.
during first period.
Well, I should say overcome. Be for exact